Let me see, is it working? Let's check here. There we go. Oops. 1 second, let me, I gotta fix my stream real quick. There we go. Sup, guys? Fat Archon here, bringing another 40k review. Today we've got a pretty damn big one. The Chaos Space Marines Codex. Pretty much all of it leaked the other night, so I grabbed all the images, and yeah, we're gonna go through it together. See what looks good, what looks alright, what looks competitive, what looks bad, etc. I will say, I haven't done a live stream in a while, so for sure, if there's any issues with the video or the audio or anything like that, be sure to let me know and I'll see if I can fix it. That said, I love doing these live streams. In the past, I rewatched one last night, in fact, and yeah, just remind me how fun it is. Speaking of, don't be afraid to reach out if you guys got any questions or comments. Definitely anything you guys can add on in here is appreciated, and if I miss something, for sure, bring it up then. Definitely helps other people. As always, if you haven't, please consider liking and subscribing. At the very least, give the video a thumbs up if you could. That, you know, helps the metrics and all that. But if you're already subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. It looks like we got a few people here, so welcome to, buddies. Welcome to. Alright, so, geesh, alright. This book is, yeah, dude, it's looking amazing. This is probably the best book of 10th edition so far. I'm not even sure it's, like, debatable, to be honest. Orks are, like, right behind it, but I still think CSM edge them out. I do feel especially bad for Custody players. My, you know, you got my heartfelt apology. It's kind of a low blow. I probably shouldn't bring that up, but, yeah, they kind of got shafted. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, GW starts to fix them up in the future. One thing about this book, though, it gets me hyped about other codexes in the future. So, like, Death Guard, I can only imagine what they're gonna get. World Eaters, I can only imagine what they're gonna get. World Eaters, hopefully get some new units as well. So, like, I'm pretty hyped for the future books that should be coming out. I've been painting like a madman, getting my army ready. I have like 95% of it good to go. I think if I look behind me, I got Khorne Lord of Skulls. I put that off for like 2 years, and I got like a Demon Prince. But otherwise, almost everything's painted, so I'm pretty hyped up. Finally, I've had 3 Defilers for years now, but very rarely have I ever gotten to run them. We're gonna find out a little bit that I finally got an excuse to run all my Defilers, so I'm quite hyped on that. Regardless, so, like I said, this is probably the best book. Orks are right behind them. I will say, though, a lot of the data sheets got nerfed. There's a lot of, like, none of them huge that I can think off the top of my head, but a lot of the data sheets did get nerfed a bit, so do be aware that not everything's sunshine and rainbows. But without further ado, so the army rules, they're basically the same with one big change. So Dark Pacts, if your army is Heretic Astartes, each time you're selected to shoot or fight, you make a Dark Pact. If it does, you must first take a leadership test. If you fail it, you take D3 mortal wounds. That said, regardless of if you pass or fail, you get to choose between lethal hits and sustained hits. This is, you know, this is obviously same as the Index, obviously incredibly strong. This is like one of the best abilities in the game, honestly, for an army ability, and I love that it stays the same. I actually don't mind that leadership nerf, like, in the least bit. Technically, yeah, technically it's a nerf, but whatever. It was super easy to forget, and this just, like, streamlines things, because, like I said, you forget all the time. All the time, man, I'd shoot with, like, 6 things, end of my turn, or after the shooting, I'm like, oh, shit, I gotta, I forgot I need to roll all these. So, there is that. You'll see, too, in some of the other detachments, like, certain enhancements and that sort of stuff won't work unless you pass the test, so for sure it's gonna come up more than it did. Cults of the Dark Gods, it's the same as always. You can bring Berserkers, Rubrics, Plague Marines, or Noise Marines. I do like that it specifically says Emperor's Children. Obviously, we'll get a Codex eventually, but this is mainly for the Index, which should be coming out in about 2 weeks or so. So, like I said, the rule hasn't changed that much, and in the ways it did, I actually do like it, the streamlining. So, very powerful. Yeah, it's going to continue to be that way. For the detachments, so we got some crazy, like, so there's 8 detachments, so we knew all along that the odds of getting screwed were pretty slim, and yeah, it ended up being ultra slim. I would argue that 6, I believe 5 or 6 out of 8 of these are great. Probably 3 of them are very competitive, maybe even 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them. We'll find out in a second. A bunch of them are competitive, and I think you'll see, that's something I love about this book. I think you're going to see a variety of CSM. You're going to see a variety of playstyles, in fact. Not at all is everything going to be, you're not going to see the Abaddon Castle 24/7 like it currently is, or the Accursed Rhinos 24/7 like it had been before. I think you're going to see quite the variety, so I'm incredibly excited about that. Regardless, so Veterans of the Long War, basically the Black Legion. Their detachment rule, Focus of Hatred. At the start of your command phase, select 1 unit from your opponent's army to be your Focus of Hatred. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a Heretic Astartes model from your army, excluding Dam, so no cultists, makes an attack that targets your focus, you can reroll the hit roll. Obviously, that is giant. We already do so much damage with the... And don't forget, you're getting sustained hits on top of that, so rerolls with sustained hits, like, already giant there. Being able to, yeah, reroll that just makes it, like, more giant. Now, one thing about this detachment, they hate cultists very much. I would say this is like the elite CSM detachment, so when you build them, you'll probably bring a lot of like Chosen, Terminators, that sort of stuff. They like it. Admittedly, the Terminator rule doesn't really jive with this, because Terminators can reroll their hits like anytime they Dark Pact, but you're not always like, sometimes you need to hit 2 targets, or maybe 3 targets, so there is still value there. But like I said, they hate, they hate the Damned, so pretty much every rule that we're about to go over, the enhancements and stratagems, just automatically assume they don't work on cultists. For enhancements, they got some pretty decent ones. So the first one, Warmaster's Gift. So Abaddon's Gift, Chaos Lord model only, so can be the jump version, or the foot version, or the Terminator version. Each time the bearer makes an attack that targets your Focus of Hatred, on an unmodified successful wound roll of 5 up, scores a critical hit. By the way, this is only 15 points, so not very spendy. That's, you know, okay value. Where this is especially going to work is the Foot Lord with his Demon Hammer. He gets the Dev Wounds. If you attach him with Legionaries, for example, then you'll be re-rolling wounds a lot of the time, at least re-rolling ones. So that is pretty nice there that you'll get those, you get the Dev Wounds through. For 15 points, it's not terrible at all. If you got the points left over, then for sure I'd consider this. Next up, we got Eager for Vengeance. This one's 20 points, so a little bit more expensive. Heretic Astartes model only. The bearer's unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. While doing so, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets your Focus of Hatred, add 1 to the hit roll, and each time your Focus of Hatred is a target of a charge, add 1 to the charge roll. So Goonhammer brought up a good point, and this is worded a little weirdly, and I think it will be FAQ'd, because it's pretty obvious what it's supposed to mean. As written, it seems like you only get the +1 to hit if you're falling back. Yeah, the bearer's unit is eligible to shoot and declare charge in turn in which it fell back. While doing so, each time you add 1. So it's a little funky right there. If it only works when you fall back, then yeah, it kind of sucks. Especially for 20 points. If it gets fixed and it works all the time, then in that case it's actually really good. Fallback and charge, obviously, and shoot. Fallable to shoot. Fallback, shoot, and charge is incredibly powerful. Not only can you target other units with like shooting or charging, which obviously has value there, it also plays directly into mission play and scoring. You're able to fall back and still do an action. You can deploy homers or something like that. So I do think it has some value there, assuming it works like I think it should. Obviously, the +1 hit is fantastic, and +1 to charge, not the strongest thing ever, but it's always nice when you get it. Next up, we got Eye of Abaddon, Heretic Astartes model only. While the bearer is on the battlefield, each time your Focus of Hatred is destroyed, roll a d6. On a 4-up, you gain 1 command point. So this one is 15 points, which isn't bad. So I'm going to say, as a whole, every single detachment is starving for command points. We have some of the very best stratagems, some of the most like utilitarian and like useful ones out there. So every single detachment, especially this one, is really hungry for command points. So I kind of think all of these enhancements that give you the ability to regen, I think they gain a little bit of value. So while, yeah, this one isn't the strongest, because you only get 1 chance and you have to destroy your Focus of Hatred, so like, you know, the odds of doing it aren't the best. That said, you can use your Oath of Moment, your Focus of Hatred. You can use it in, like, clever ways. So maybe choose, like, a little scout squad or something that you know you can wipe out. And that way you can hopefully regen a point on it. So I don't think this is bad at all. 15 points is actually very fair. A lot of times GW points, or costs these, like, higher than I think they're worth. In the index, our Eye of Tzeentch, or whatever it's called, was 40 points, which is ridiculous. So 15, not bad at all. I do think if I was making a list for this, I'd be very tempted to throw this in there. Last up, we got Mark of Legend, Heretic Astartes model only. Once per turn, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, or 1 saving roll made for the bearer. So this can go on any Heretic Astartes aside from the Damned still. So I like that. The obvious home for it's going to be like Daemon Princes. Anything with a 2-up save, especially, I think. I think that's where it's like extra good is getting the saves. I like too, it's once per turn, not once per battle round. So he gets to use it twice a battle round. Lord Discordant might like this. Lord Discordant, we'll get to him in a bit. Unfortunately, he's exactly the same, so he's not the best thing ever, but he does have a 2-up and a 4-up invul, so I could see him specifically getting some value out of this. Sadist72 really wants the Crusade rules. Me too, man. I don't play Crusade, but I love reading through them, because they have the fluffy bits, and it's really, it's always fun to see, because GW comes up with more, like, clever rules and, like, unique rules when they do that, so I also appreciate the Crusade rules, even though I don't play with them. By the way, Sadist, I feel like I used to see you in the past. Did you used to come around the past? Anyways, welcome to the chat, man. Alright, for stratagems, so they have some pretty good ones, pretty decent ones. First up, you got Endless Ire. Any phase just after your Focus of Hatred is destroyed, 1 Heretic Astartes character unit from your army. You can choose 1 enemy unit within 12 inches and visible. Until the start of your next command phase, that enemy unit that you just selected is your new Focus of Hatred. So this is honky-dory, like nothing too wrong with it, except that it costs 2 command points. That's way too expensive. You have to, like, have destroyed your original Focus too, so unless you, like, you got a big shooting phase, and you're about to follow it up with a big charge phase. Okay, I guess I could see it. Maybe they got something that, like, you have to kill or whatever. But for 2 command points, like, I'm not too excited about that, to be honest. I doubt you'll see it too often. Next up, we got Black Crusade. Only 1 command point. In your movement phase, 1 Heretic Astartes infantry or mounted unit, so hey, Disco Lord, can be selected. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced or fell back, and bolt pistols, bolt guns, and combi bolters all get dev wounds. However, there is a limit of only doing 6 dev wounds total using that ability. This one's actually pretty damn good. It's really utilitarian. Being able to advance and fall back and shoot, yeah, super strong. Like I mentioned earlier, it plays directly into like objective play and scoring, and then you got the obvious bits of being able to target other units. The second half, though, the dev wounds, kind of sucks. It could work on, like, I was going to say the Chaos Lord, but he doesn't have that much bolter, so no, not even him. I believe you'd need to get 36 successful hits through in order to max out the 6 dev wounds. There will be times, though, maybe you got a really, like, keystone unit that you need to kill, and it's only got 1 or 2 wounds left. In that case, sure. You spend the CP and literally roll the dice, to see if you can plink off those 1 or 2 with unsavable dev wounds. I can see some value there, but otherwise, not the best one. Next up, we got Contemptuous Disregard. In your opponent's shooting phase, or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as a target, yeah, you can choose 1 of your own units that was selected as a target. Until the end of the phase, each time that attack targets, you worsen the armor pin by 1. This is gigantic. It used to be 2 command points in the index, so like very rarely was it used. Also, it's a battle tactic, so your Chaos Lord's going to let you use it for free. This is strong in any and every detachment it gets tossed into. It's going to be especially strong here. 10th edition legitimately has sort of neutered armor pin. Aside from like Necrons, not many have better than like 2 AP, and very, very, very often do they only have a single AP. You toss it on top of the fact that cover is like basically universal. You have to like go out of your way to not get cover. Yeah, this is incredibly strong. Probably one you use literally every single turn. That's what I would do. Next up, we got Let the Galaxy Burn. In your shooting phase, you can choose 1 Heretic Astartes with no restrictions aside from Tzeentch, so you can't choose rubrics, basically, and that is about to be selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons get Ignores cover, and any Torrent weapons automatically get 6 hits each. So, Ignores cover, so this is also a very strong one. Ignores cover is basically -1 AP, because like I just said a second ago with how universal cover is, this is tantamount to getting +1 AP, which is giant. Chaos Space Marines especially do have very middling AP. It's incredibly rare to have more than 2. Only like very elite units tend to have more than 2. This fixes it. Also a really clever way. So you can't do rubrics, sadly, which is like that's fair. That would have been overpowered as hell. You would have seen like 3 maxed out rubrics every every single game. But Plague Marines are not restricted, and Plague Marines have anti-infantry 2-up flamers. You can bring 4 flamers in a maxed out squad if I'm not not mistaken. So I do think there's still some value there. On Legionaries in the short, nah, I don't think it's so good. Maybe got like a heavy flamer on your Hellbrute or something. Like, okay, like if it's clutch, then maybe they'll come in. But this will be especially for Plague Marines. Next up, we got Bringers of Despair. At the start of the fight phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that is within engagement range of your Focus of Hatred, so it can only be your focus target. Until the end of the phase, you get fight first. This is incredibly ultra crazy strong. They did balance it out by being 2 command points, so this will be something you want to save up for. You're going to have to be smart with who your Focus of Hatred is. That said, if you're able to plan ahead, sadly, you got to do it on your command phase, so your opponent will have a say on like where it moves and that sort of stuff. But if you can be clever with it so that you can get within charge range of it, this is incredibly powerful right there. Like I said, that'll be one that you'll want to save up for, and probably a reason to bring that relic to regen command points as well. Last up, you got Millennia of Experience. In your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fall back move, one Heretic Astartes infantry or mounted, so hey, Disco Lord, from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy and not within engage range of anything, you can make a normal move of up to 6 inches with no other restrictions. This is reactive moves are strong in every detachment that gets them. They're going to be very strong here as well. So overall, you got a couple stinkers, but then you got a few like ultra good ones. The fight first, ultra strong. You got like a 10-man chosen squad, 10-man possessed, just Abaddon is lonesome, whatever. You got them out there, nobody's going to want to charge them so long as you got the 2 command points set aside. And then Millennia of Experience, like I said, this so many ways this comes in. You can get closer to your charge target, you can get behind out of line of sight so they can't see you, you can get onto an objective, a million reasons that you'll be using that all the time. So for sure, I think this detachment is going to be pretty hungry for command points. Like I said, I think they're like elite. I do like the variety of strats they got. The big stinker is going to be that Endless Ire, like 2 command points for that, a little much, but otherwise I think they're fine. Let's see, we got a few people. Hey, Fired Oa, what's up, brother? I haven't seen you in forever, man. Glad to see you made it. Fired Oa says, well, the Disco Lord hasn't changed, sadly. There's a lot of detachment rules, enhancements, and stratagems that make it a decent unit. I agree with you completely. We're going to get to that in a little bit, actually. Red Corsairs, I think, are going to work decently with them. And then Peter Snores said, Lord Disco gets to run his death, gets to run to his death faster. Amen. Hey, I will say he's pretty tough. 2 up, 4 up, and was he? I forget his toughness. Is he T9? Probably. But either way, he's not the worst thing ever. And maybe, fingers crossed, pray to the Chaos Gods, maybe they did his points values justice. If he's like 140 points, something like that, I could see him getting some value. Also, the model looks sick. He's probably, he's legit, okay, he's actually, and this is no lie, he is the reason I got into Chaos Space Marines. I remember seeing that model. I hadn't played Warhammer 40k for like 2 years, and I believe that model had just came out. I saw it, I immediately bought 3 of them, and that's how I started my CSM. They legitimately are one of my favorite units. So yeah, I'm gonna play him regardless of if he's good or not. I'm gonna play him in a couple armies, not for tournaments. Although we'll see, maybe he's like better than I thought. But yeah. Peter says, yeah, same. Lord Discord was the first model build. Yeah, dude, it's so good. I think anybody on the planet who like is into sci-fi is gonna love that model too. Ooh, all right, next up. So, this is such a good detachment, such a fun one. I am so ultra excited to get these guys on the table. So, Deceptors, aka Alpha Legion. Their detachment rule, Masters of Misdirection. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select a number of Legionaries and Cultist Mob units from your army. Until the end of the battle, they get to Infiltrate. Also, they can have characters, but not epic heroes, so that's pretty giant right there. When you're playing 2K, you can have up to 3 Legionaries and up to 3 Cultists. So, the reasons this is good is, like, very obvious. First of all, you can have, I believe it's, if you maxed out, you bring Dark Communes and Dark Apostles with your Legionaries. I believe it's 112 models in total that you can put 9.1 inches from your enemy's deployment zone. Like, I'm not sure you could fit them all in there. They would literally need to spend like 2 turns, like at least 2 turns just to get through them. I'm very curious if that's going to be like the way to go. I will admit, I do personally, I lean towards MSU, multiple small units. I think that might be the way to go. Although, a fat squad of cultists with a Dark Commune, maybe don't even toss a Dark Commune, but if you do, that'd be 25 models. Can you imagine what area of the board you can cover with 25 models? Don't forget, too, cultists have sticky objectives, guys. So, in a sense, in a way, you can start the battle off with 3 different objectives already stucky. You could probably do that with a single cultist squad if you're bringing the 25 models. I think where that's especially valuable versus, like, world eaters. They have a shitload of scouts and the sort. Nope. Hopefully you get to deploy first. Nope. All of a sudden, I don't care about your scouts. Like, you're stuck in your own deployment. Another one this is really strong, and some of you are going to see a lot, Necrons, Hypercrypt Necrons. They're like the speedy boys. They jump around everywhere. This will go very far in blocking them out. You can totally cover all the board edges so they can't. We're going to see in a minute that there's a really good stratagem as well that gives you the 12-inch infiltrate bubble, or anti-infiltrate bubble. So all in all, I think Deceptors, they might be the strongest detachment in the book. What's wild is you're going to hear me saying that quite a few times as we do this review. GW, you guys knocked it out of the park. I am so happy. Okay, so we got a question. Let me take a look here. Zeta72 says, how do you feel about the Black Legion detachment being the same as the Space Marines? I feel like it's kind of lazy. If it's Hadrian, why not reroll wound rolls? The Dark Side of Oath, am I crazy? You're not crazy at all. That's actually, that is a very, like, fair and valid point. Yeah, I don't really have a rebuttal to it. I think it's like fine. I think it's strong enough that like I still like it. But you're right. It is like kind of milquetoast, kind of boring. Yeah, it would have been cooler to have the reroll wounds. By the way, would have been like very strong. So I kind of see why they didn't do that. But reroll hits, yeah, no. Yeah, I don't have a rebuttal to that. Matthew, does anybody have the full PDF? Unfortunately, no, not yet. I looked this morning to see if I get it more updated, but unfortunately, no. And then Peter says, Deceptors seem like a high-risk, high-reward. Yes, so I'm glad you brought that up. So that's going to be an issue with these guys. They are fragile. Obviously, cultists are fragile, but even legionaries are pretty fragile themselves. Like, a Space Marine profile is, it's the most basic, essentially the most basic profile in the game. Everybody comes prepared to kill Marines. So that is a extremely valid criticism right there, and I agree with you completely. One thing I do like about this, so the fact that you can attach characters, so you can stage your characters 9.1 inches or wherever. You don't have to deploy on the line, and often you won't. But you can stage your characters ready to go kick some ass. Chaos Lords, with so Chaos Lords didn't really change, aside from their loadout, which we'll see. So you can still get the +1 damage, all that sort of stuff. You can get them right where they need to be to get in there. Maybe toss in Master Possession with some of them, so you get +1 to your charges as well. So I do like that. There's some clever little strategies you can get in there. But again, they are fragile, so don't think that it's like an auto-win. Like, not in the least bit are they going to be auto-win. It's kind of like the Ork boys. I forget the name of the detachment, but the horde that they got. I played them the other night. I went in being so scared, like, oh my god, Orks are the new boogeyman. I walked away, man. I'm not at all afraid of Orks anymore right now. Granted, I had a good list for it, but like, I think it's similar in that regard, in that they seem scarier than they are. All right. For enhancements, so these guys have some really like fluffy ones and a few like strong ones. So and some really long ones, as we're about to see here. So Falsehood, this one's only 10 points. Chaos Lord model only, excluding Terminator and Jump Pack, so it's only the Foot Lord. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can set the bearer up in reserves instead of on the battlefield. If you do, in the Reinforcement step of your movement phase, you can select one model in a friendly Legionaries or Chosen unit. That doesn't have an attached character, unfortunately. The selected model is destroyed, and then you set up the bearer as close as possible to where the model was destroyed, and only in engagement range if that unit was already in engagement range. So this one, 10 points, is cheap, and it's hilarious. It's pretty fun, but it's terrible. It's really not good. Maybe if I have 10 points left over somehow will I consider it, but otherwise, no, killing my own model, especially a Chosen, I forget off the top of my head how many points there are, but 25 points each, something like that. Just to get a deep strike, essentially, not the best. Now, Goonhammer did bring up a clever little thing with this. Chaos Lords have a larger base size than Legionaries. So they were saying maybe you get them within 9 inches of opponent, so you reserve them or something like that, or come in from reserves or something like that. You could destroy your model and then place your Chaos Lord. Because they has a larger base, wouldn't you theoretically get an 8-inch charge at that point? They were even mentioning like a 7-inch charge. That's a little sneaky, a little win at all costs, but I guess like, the enhancement sucks otherwise, so more power to you. Alright, next up, Cursed Fang. So this one's only 10 points, and for 10 points, it's incredibly good. Heretic Astartes infantry model only. Improve the armor pin characteristic of your melee weapons by 1, and your melee weapons get precision. So, AP, we always love it when we see it. Chaos Lord can make very good use of this. Even, okay, Master Possession won't make that good a use of it. But Master Executions, although it already has Precision, again, +1 AP is huge. For 10 points, I would play that every single time. I think this is probably an auto-include unless you need those 10 points. So yeah, I'd put it every single list. The next one's also an auto-include in my book. This one's only 15 points. That's a little high, but for what it gives you, that's very fair. Heretic Astartes infantry model only. The bearer has stealth and lone operative. So the obvious choice for this is going to be the Jump Pack Lord. That way you can deep strike into your opponent's like deployment zone turn 2 or turn 3 or whenever and do homers, force them come back to you. I think another potentially clever way of doing it would be find the cheapest character. So like a sorcerer, I believe. Currently they're 60 points. They haven't really changed at all, so they'll probably stay the same. I could see that working for like a sorcerer. You just leave him in your home field so he can cover your own home objective. And we'll get to it in a second, but you still have the 12-inch anti-deep strike bubble as well, so you wouldn't have to be as worried. Well, actually that'd be perfect, because if they deep strike in, they're being 12.1 inches away, you got lone op, they can't attack you. So I do think there's some clever ways to do it. Next up, we got Soul Link. So what's crazy about this one's only 5 points. So even though we're about to see, like, is it good? We'll find out. But for 5 points, like, if I have the points, I'm going to include it every single time. Why wouldn't I? So Heretic Astartes infantry only. At the start of your command phase, you can select one other infantry character that's not an epic hero. Until the start of your next command phase, the bearer gains the Psychic keyword, and you replace their datasheet abilities with the datasheet abilities of the character you selected. So where this gets clever, this makes you want to bring a variety of characters, of course. So you bring Master Executions, Master Possession, Sorcerer, you bring all that stuff. You get to choose what you need. So maybe you need the +1 to charge that turn. So cool, I'll just steal from the MOP. Maybe you need to re-roll hits because you managed to get them below their starting strength. I'll take the Master Execution buff. So I do think that's pretty awesome. The other way around too, stealing the Lord's buff might be the best, because then you get the free Strategem, so that there is huge, and then +1 strength and AP and damage. That is gigantic, especially on a Master Execution. For only 5 points, I'm probably going to include that every single time. Like, yeah, I don't see why I would. Let's see if we got any questions. Got a meme run with, Peter says, you got a meme run with 75 bodies of Dark Commune and Cultists. I think that's going to be a very common way of doing it. Like I said, I'd probably do MSU. At the very least, I'd probably do 3 squads of MSU Cultists. Only 150 points? That's insane. For all the board coverage that you get from that, that's pretty insane just on its own. And then Matthew's asking, did Huron change? He did not, and luckily he's still around. There's a lot of like fear that he was going to get axed from the Codex, but luckily he's still around. I just painted mine the other night. Like I said in the beginning, I've been painting like a madman, and Huron, even though I wasn't sure if he'd be in the Codex, I finished painting him, and I'm glad I did. And I'm glad you brought him up, Matthew, because Huron's going to be especially good with this detachment. He keys off directly with the Masters of Mixed Direction, because you can redeploy those infiltrated units. So yeah, I like it a lot. Maybe you block out the World Eaters, and then they're all on the line, and you don't want to get charged. Well, I'm just going to redeploy them back to my side, so, you know, fuck off, World Eaters. So there's still some value there. Excuse me, I got a cough real quick. Or I should say, clear my throat. That's the polite way. All right, so for stratagems, these guys have some of the more fun stratagems. I am very excited for these. So, Detonator. I think this is deceptively strong, or maybe I should say deceptorily strong. Basically, any phase just after an enemy model with the Deadly Demise ability is destroyed, you can choose one of your Heretic Astartes characters that's within 18 inches. Doesn't have to be visible, by the way, which is fantastic. Your opponent doesn't roll any dice. They automatically explode. That is low-key giant. That is low-key a big-ass freaking deal. Unfortunately, doesn't include Titanic, so I was going to say, like, yeah, Imperial Knight or something blows up. But there's a boatload of profiles out there that do D6 mortal wounds. The other night, I forget which unit it was, but I had something that had D6 mortal wounds explode on me the other night, and it was so painful. I had like a castle going on, I had an Abaddon castle going on, and it basically wiped out like a quarter of my army right there. This is gigantic. This is going to be a gotcha. So I would totally like warn my opponent that I have this, and hopefully they remember, because this is going to be ultra, ultra, ultra strong when it comes up. Also, too, your opponents are going to be forced, if they're smart, they're going to be forced to play around it. So they're not going to castle up. So maybe you got a mirror match versus, yeah, an Abaddon castle, or as we're going to see a Vashtorr castle. That'll be a theme. They're going to have to be, like, careful. They're going to have to be mindful about it. I like this one a lot. I like it a lot. Alright, next up we got Coils of Deception. Your movement phase, just after a Heretic Astartes unit from your army falls back, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in the turn that it fell back. So this is very, like, basic, very generic in general. It's actually really good. Being able to fall back and shoot, again, it plays directly into mission play and secondaries. Being able to do actions, so you still deploy your homers, all that sort of stuff, like that there. And then you got the obvious bit of, you know, maybe you got Obliterators. Maybe they got tied up because they're not monsters. They can't shoot in combat. Well, suddenly you're going to fall back and still blast the hell out of something. So this does definitely have a lot of value. I think it's something you want to keep in mind every single turn, you know, when you're in the thick of things. Try to keep it in mind. Try not to forget that one because it will come up. Next up, you got From All Sides. Start of your charge phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army. Basically, you add 1 to the charge roll for each other Heretic Astartes unit from your army that made a charge move that phase to a maximum of +3. So that keys directly off of the Masters of Misdirection. You can have a bunch of units as close as you want them to be, essentially, to the opponent. So getting +3 on that, super duper ultra easy. So I do like that. That way you can bring in Warp Talons, which we're going to see in a bit. And you bring in Warp Talons, which are crazy good now, ultra good, and then get +3 to your charge. Your 9 inch is suddenly a 6 inch, and then obviously you hopefully saved an additional CP to reroll it. Very powerful there. Next up, we got Relentless Pursuit. Your opponent's movement phase, just after they make a normal, advance, or fall back, you can choose 1 infantry or mounted unit. So hey, Disco is getting some love again. That's within 9 inches and not within engagement range. You can move 6 inches. So again, we brought this up with the Veterans of the Long War. Ultra powerful every time it comes up. Again, guys, you can get on objectives, you can get behind cover, you can get closer so you can charge them next turn. In multiple ways, this is good. If you guys haven't noticed so far, this detachment is going to be starving for command points. There's so many of these so far that you're going to want to use. Next up, we got Pick Them Off. Your shooting phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit below its starting strength, you can reroll the hit roll, and if it's below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll. So this basically gives you the Black Legion ability. So, kinda, you know, do you need Black Legion when you bring Deceptors? I don't know, that's debatable. But obviously, the reroll hit's always powerful every time it comes up. Super easy to get a unit below starting strength. Vehicles especially. You just have to plink a single wound off that Land Raider or whatever, and suddenly you get to reroll hit rolls. Below half strength, that's not going to come up as often, but there's some pretty meaty like models out there with like a shitload of wins. My Great Unclean one that I bring with all my demon armies, with his enhancement, he has a 4-up Feel No Pain and all that. If you manage to get him below half strength, suddenly this becomes a really big deal for just a single CP. Like, goddamn Deceptors. Alright, next up, probably, arguably one of the best stratagems in this detachment for sure, and potentially in the book. Scrambled Coordinates. At the start of the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, you can choose any model from your army. Until the end of the phase, enemy units that are set up cannot be set up on the battlefield from reserves within 12 inches of your unit. Gigantic. Again, with the Shroud of Obfuscation, so you got a lone op character, maybe bring Cypher or something, you got another lone op, so that makes them essentially invulnerable, at least from like Deep Strike and reserves. And then you got the other bits, Necrons. Necrons are still everywhere, and they're still going to be just as powerful as before. Grey Knights are like a menace. Grey Knights are always scary to fight. This plays directly into helping with that. And again, you can start off the game with 25 freaking cultists, making a giant circle or a giant line or whatever you want. I'm positive, I'm like near positive, you could literally cover the entire like midboard and almost all no man's land with just that unit. And then with this, I wonder how many square inches that would be. I'm gonna have to like do the math for that eventually, because that'd be crazy strong. Firedoa, yeah, unfortunately, so yeah, Exalted Champion is gone. Technically, we lost Noise Marines and Lucius as well. So, you know, pour one out, F in chat for for homies. I liked the Exalted Champion too. I didn't run him that often, but like I always thought he was perfectly serviceable. I did like too having lieutenants, so being able to have a second character, I liked it quite a bit. So I do miss him. You know, salute to you, Exalted Champ. You did fine. Maybe he'll come back one day. Here, I'm going to take a swig of coffee, so give me one moment, guys. Oh, yeah, that hit the spot. Oh, yeah, so Deceptors, before we move on to the next, so I think they're S tier, maybe A+ tier. It's debatable if they're the strongest in the book. We got a contender right here, in fact, but I do think you're going to see them in a lot of tournaments, and even if you don't play them competitively, even like maybe you play casually, maybe you're not that good, whatever the reason, this is an incredibly fun detachment. Has fun enhancements, obviously fun detachment rule, really fun and powerful stratagems. Detonator, I love Detonator so much. That'd be something I'd be like trying to use. So I'm purposely going to target down your big vehicles so I can make them explode, just so I can like chuckle, you know, have a demonic chuckle as they blow up and explode a quarter of your army or whatever. So yeah, Deceptors, I think they're way up there in the power rankings, way up there in the power rankings for the entire game, in fact, at least currently as it stands. Francis is asking, do you think they're going to mess with the Single God Legions spawn now that spawn got changed? I like my World Eater spawn as they are. You know, obviously it's hard to say, but I'll admit, yes, I think they will. They got changed a lot in CSM. So so we're not only going over detachments. I do have all the unit profiles at the end. So I'll go over those when we get there. But Chaos Spawn did change here. I see no reason they wouldn't change for the other armies. They have like 0 objective control. 1000% that's going to happen to the other armies as well. That said, so long as they each get unique rules. So I don't think, GW likes to, like, screw us sometimes, but I don't think they'll all have the exact same rules. So I do think World Eaters might have a cool one. Maybe, I don't know, Fight on Death, even though it's not the best with just 2 spawn or whatever. But I'm hoping they get something unique and, like, fluffy. Alright. Renegade Raiders, aka Red Corsairs. So Red Corsairs and Iron Warriors have always been some of my favorite legions. Word Bearers as well. So I'm so happy that they're in the book. Look at that paint job. Such a good paint job. So really happy for Renegade Raiders. I think pretty much everybody agrees that this probably is the strongest detachment in the book. I do think Vashtorr gives them some competition, but these guys are probably the strongest. And we're about to find out why. So, Raiders and Reavers. Ranged weapons equipped by Heretic Astartes models in your army have the Assault ability, and each time a Heretic Astartes model in your army makes an attack that targets a unit within range of objective marker, improve the armor pin by 1. This is so huge. So huge. I mentioned it earlier, CSM as a whole had pretty middling AP. It's incredibly rare to have 4 AP. Well, all of a sudden, nope, we're going to have that, like, left, right, and center. Possessed are going to love this. Venom Crawlers are going to love this. Vindicators are really going to love this. Even crazy stuff that already has AP 4. So, I don't know, Forge Fiend with the Meltas, or any sort of Melta, goes to AP 5. So many of those are powerful. Now, it is restricted to only working on units within range of an objective marker, but that's fine with me. That's the name of the game. So that's literally how I win the game. So I like that a lot. I also like that it works both ranged and melee. It's not restricted to just one or the other. It works for both. Those are giant. And then don't forget Assault. Assault is always huge. Assault lets you, you know, obviously you get more movement and more range for your shooting. So you can gain an extra 2 to 6 inches on all your guns' range. But also, as I love bringing up all the time, it plays directly into scoring and mission play. And better yet, it plays into like primary play. You can get onto the primary with that extra bit of movement you're getting right there. Chosen have their advance and charge, all that sort of stuff. Just like everything is so good about it, and it's always going to be like, all of this is always relevant. Yeah, Renegade Raiders, you guys, just your detachment rule alone, without looking at anything else, yeah, you guys are top tier. Arguably one of the best detachments in the game. Yeah, or arguably +1 AP is a huge deal. I especially love it. I mentioned it, but I especially love it with the Possessed. I love Possessed. I'm a Possessed fanatic. I have like 36 models because I'm a weirdo. I have a bunch of them, and so I look for any excuse to use them. I think people underrated them very much the entire edition. I had such good luck with them. With the Undivided, with the rerolls, they did like 20 mortal wounds or 20 dove wounds on average. It was like insane. Anyways, so a lot of stuff's gonna get boosted up from this. It brings a lot of like middling profiles. It gives them that little push that they need to actually be good. Incredibly happy with this detachment. Alright, so Despot's Claim, only 15 points. Heretic Astartes model only, so you can put on anything. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if you're wholly within 12 inches of your opponent's deployment zone. On a 5-up, you gain 1 command point. So, this isn't the best, but it's only 15 points, and again, we're going to be starving for command points. We're going to need every command point we can get, so I do think this has valid consideration to it. Probably works decent, so you would want to get wholly within 12 if you can help it. So maybe like a Jump Lord might be a decent choice for that, something like that. Not an auto-include by any means, but I do think it has, again, valid consideration. Next up, we got Dread Reaver. So this one, too, is only 15 points. Heretic Astartes model only. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, if the bearer is wholly within 12 inches of your opponent's deployment zone, you can reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. So that is incredibly, insanely ultra strong, with the caveat that you have to get within their deployment zone. I do think a Lord Disco could make great use of this. I think him especially would probably like this, because he's pretty fast, fairly meaty, 2-up save with a 4-up, so he might survive when he gets there. You know, he's got a little chance. Demon Prince would be a fine addition for it. Otherwise, you throw it on whoever. Jump Pack Lord, Chaos Lord, any of them. You can definitely make use for 15 points. Not at all an auto-include, because that restriction is really hard and forces you to be in their, near their deployment zone when maybe you want to be like on your side of the board or whatever. But if you got the points left over, I would definitely take a look at it. That said, next up, we got a pretty good one. Mark of the Hound. So this one is kind of expensive. It's 25 points, so it's kind of spendy. Heretic Astartes model only. The models in the bearer's unit have the Scout's 6-inch ability. So again, I think a Disco Lord might get a lot of use out of this. If you guys, so obviously I'm looking for excuses to run Disco, so I apologize in advance if I bring him up a lot. But I think this actually might work on him pretty well, because that gets you closer to, you know, murderizing. Otherwise, works on anything, man. Maybe you need Chosen, big blob of Possess with a Master of Possession. Like, that would work fine with this as well. It's kind of spendy. 25 points. Okay, I was going to say, is it worth it? But it probably is. Scouts is very, very, very strong. Scouts is an excellent ability, especially on good boards that have, like, good terrain and no man's land, so that you can, like, you know if you go first or not, so you're guaranteed to hide behind cover, or you can just bum rush them. So I do think it's one that you'd want to consider heavily. It might be an auto-include, but it's kind of spendy. It's right on the edge of auto-include. Last up, we got Tyrant's Lash. This one's 20 points. Heretic Astartes model only. You can reroll advanced rolls made for the bearer's unit, and you are eligible to shoot in a turn in which you fell back. So this has a lot of utility to it. Reroll and wound, or reroll and advances always has a bit of value. It'd be especially good on, like, Possessed, and then being able to fall back and still shoot. Again, I brought it up a few times because we're going to see this rule a few more times, I'm sure. Plays directly into objective play and missions and all that sort of stuff. So I do think it has quite a bit of value. 20 points. That's a little expensive for what it's giving you, but if you have the points left over, I would definitely take a look at it and consider it. All right, for stratagems, so these guys have some really good stratagems, as I recall. So first of all, we got Unfailing Obdurate. I've never heard that word before. I don't even know what it means, but obdurate. In your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after the enemy unit has selected its target, you can choose one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, worsen the AP by 1. Alright, I'm gonna clap. That's really fucking good every single time we see it. Red Corsairs are already incredibly powerful detachment. Getting the -1 AP on incoming damage, even more incredible. Again, Disco Lord is going to love that. Disco Lord with this 2-up save, he'll make lots of use out of that. This is one you'll definitely want to save CP for if you can. I would use it literally every single turn. Yeah, it's strong in every army that gets it. Next up, we got Warp-Charged Engines. Your movement phase, one Heretic Astartes transport or mounted unit. I forgot to mention in the beginning, this army is going to love rhinos and love land raiders for this right here. So until the, we're about to get to it. It's a different one, but this still keys off of it. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6-inch to the move characteristic of models in your unit. So what's cool, don't forget, you got the assault keyword. So you get an extra 6-inch range to all your weapons, essentially. 18-inch move rhinos is pretty freaking insane. Like, I definitely like having that for 75 points or whatever they end up being. Like, that's faster than Eldar right there. Yeah, lots of uses for this. Not the flashiest thing ever, but has lots of uses. And hey, yeah, I think I already mentioned, but hey, it works on mounted, so Disco Lord. Oh guys, we got to come up with a super Disco Lord. So you give him Scout 6-inch. And then you can give him the 6-inch advance, so that's essentially plus 12. So you get a turn 1 charge with this guy, like easy peasy, no issue. Alright. Next up, we got Scour and Seize. In the fight phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, all the models get precision. Oh wait, and they have to be within range of an objective marker, but all your models get precision. This is actually a big deal when it comes up. It's not always going to come up, obviously, but well, first and also too, I should mention, it's a battle tactic, so your Chaos Lord can make it free. Maybe they have a vital character. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but they got a vital character. Oh yeah, Orc Boys with their Pain Boy. You're gonna want to kill that Pain Boy like ASAP. This right here like makes that a non-issue. If you guys are fighting this detachment, definitely keep that in mind. And how precision works, here's like a pro tip from Fat Archon for you. They still have to be visible to you, even if it's in melee. So if you can hide your character, if you're worried about it dying, if you can hide your character out of line of sight from the units you're about to fight, then you can keep them from being murderized by this precision. This is very powerful. Definitely think it's one that it's going to be a gotcha for sure. Next up, we got Ruinous Raid. So this is insanely powerful and pushes this detachment over the edge, and is also the reason you're going to bring like 3 to 6 rhinos, whatever the limit to rhinos is, you're going to bring. So, your shooting phase or your fight phase, one Inheritor Astartes unit from your army that disembarked from a transport. Until the end of the phase, each time a model makes an attack, if the target is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. For 1 command point, what the fuck? And it's a battle tactic? What the fuck? This is insanely good. This forces... So, my playstyle, I rarely bring more than 1 transport. Even then, bringing a rhino is like kind of rare for me. I've always had a different playstyle if it's like, you know, I'd rather have more units than it. Nope, not with these guys. I'm going to be forced to bring at least 2, but probably multiples. Works on any transport as well, so you can bring a Land Raider and dump out Possessed or Terminators or whatever you want. Dump them out and start murderizing stuff. Havocs and a Rhino, my goodness, like that would still be perfectly fine as well. That's actually like really strong, in fact. Maybe you need and I like that too. That's actually kind of fun to think of it. You can have an anti-infantry and an anti-vehicle, so 2 squads of Havocs, because I do think some of you guys need to prepare for is the Orks. I think the Hordes is going to be, like, the big one that people are doing. Bully Boys is, like, pretty good, but I agree with a lot of people that the Hordes is the way to go. So I think teching in anti-infantry is going to be more valuable. This could be very strong, because they're going to have 20 boys. They're probably going to be on objective. Like, it's going to be hard for them not to be on objective. You can get your little, I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but the little anti-infantry cannons that the Havocs can bring. You'd be rolling so many freaking dice, reroll hits and wounds. Don't forget, you get sustained hits as well. Like, it gets nutso. This is such a powerful stratagem. And it's a battle tactic. What the fuck? Like, it's so good. So good. Yeah, man. I love this detachment. Alright, next up, Opportunistic Raiders. End of the fight phase. 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was eligible to fight in this in the phase. If your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches or 12 inches if it's a mounted unit. Otherwise, you make a fallback move. So long as you didn't disembark from a transport that turn, you can get back into a transport as well. So, obviously, that's super strong as well. You can go into something, murderize it. So, Warp Talons are a perfect target for this. Go in, murderize something. And actually, maybe Warp Talons aren't, because you would actually put them back into strategic reserves. But, I don't know, Chaos Bikers, you know, you name it. Then go in, murderize something, and then go hide behind cover, or get onto the objective, push into your opponent's deployment zone, million reasons. Again, Disco Lord can make use of this. You get him one of these ones that only work with you within range of their deployment zone, and then yeah, go charge their screen, murderize it, and then move 12 inches into their deployment zone. Like, lots of reasons, it's pretty fun. Not the strongest thing ever, but like, yeah, it gives you some like tech pieces to work with. Alright, last up we got Reaver's Haste. In your charge phase, 1 infantry or a mounted unit. Until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advance. That's gigantic. You can give them an auto 6-inch advance as well. And then if you selected 1 or more units within range of objective, you can also add +1 to the charge roll. So that's a cute little addition there. So this is ultra powerful. This is something you're going to like remember. This sets up your turn 1 charge or your turn 2 like power move. You're going to dominate them because we're Chaos Space Marine. Sorry, I'm getting pretty hyped over this detachment here. Yeah, lots of value there. So, Red Corsairs, yeah, they probably are the strongest detachment in the book, which therefore makes them one of the strongest in the entire game. Ultra powerful detachment rule. Pretty decent to good enhancements, and then very good stratagems. Like, what's not to love? I can't think of a single thing I don't like about it. What I love, too, they're not really restricted to a specific playstyle. Like, yes, they like mounted units, and they like transports, but aside from that, anything can get value from this. Maybe you still want to go Demon Engine heavy, because you're like me, you're a nerd, and you love Demon Engines. Like, still perfectly valid here. +1 AP is gigantic. Yeah, I really love Renegade Raiders. I think, yeah, they're going to be a tournament staple, most likely. So definitely, if you're preparing to fight Chaos Space Marines, be figuring out, I don't know how you can counter this, but basically get ready, like, pucker up, because it's coming. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna take another swig of coffee. There we go. Firedoa, I agree with you completely. Firedoa says, a lot of us are suffering from the discordant drawbacks in 9th. Dude, do you remember how good he was in 9th edition? So, I'll try not to do too long a tangent, but in 9th edition, it was ultra common for certain models to only take so many wounds. So like Gaz from the Orks, he could only take 3 wounds per phase. Well, the Nurgle, the CSM, one of the Nurgle enhancements, or whatever it's called back then, that you could get, you could ignore that. So suddenly you do all the wounds. You could also have every single hit automatically wound. It also was a 3 damage, so there was a way, I forget the specifics, but basically I had 7 attacks, reroll all hits, every single hit automatically wounds, it was 3 damage each and like minus 3 AP, something nuts. Dude, it was like, I won every, so I'm not trying to gloat that much, but I, like, won all the time. I won, like, every tournament, because I did the, Creations of Bile. They got automatic, before they nerfed it, which was very needed, they had automatic fights on death across the entire army. Anyways, you're gonna be flashbacks of 9th edition. I kind of miss it now. Yeah, I liked 9th when it was around. I miss it now, honestly. 10th is still perfectly fine, and I do love that they reduced the, killiness for the most part, which is funny. This codex makes you wonder, like, did GW throw the less lethality out the window? Because this codex looks pretty goddamn strong. But regardless, I do like that, like, across the board, you're not just getting tabled turn 1. And in fact, it's rare to get tabled now. In 10th edition, it's kind of rare. And if it does happen, it's like 4th or 5th turn. Whereas in the past, like, literally 2nd turn, you'd be basically tabled. Anyways, so that's a tangent. Good point, though, Awa. Alright, Dread Talons. So, pour one out for the Dread Talons. Night Lords, unfortunately, got what they always got and got shafted with the rules. So, Firedoa, that's basically exactly what I was going to say, though. They are the fun detachment. And also, I am fully convinced that, like, a skilled player is still going to pilot this very far. Don't be surprised in the least bit. In fact, I expect it. In fact, mark my words, Goonhammer is going to have a freaking, not an article, but they're going to have, like, a tournament review. You can expect to see Dread Talons eventually, placing number 1. You know, it's not going to happen much, maybe once, but at some point, Dread Talons are going to win. I think they're still, like, serviceable. And where they're really fun is, yes, casual games, Garage Hammer. Maybe you don't want to just, like, table your opponent or stomp them. Maybe, like, you're like me, you've been playing, like, 20 years or whatever, and you have a friend who just got into 40k. You don't want to stomp them. That's, like, the worst thing you could do. Don't ever stomp a new player, guys. That's so dumb, because then they, like, aren't into 40k. Maybe they don't want to play you. That's, like, the worst thing you could do. Don't just stomp newbies. That's a terrible thing to do. This detachment and the Chaos Cults one, which I'm so happy, I'll go over it when we get there, is, like, perfect for it. I think, too, like I said, I think there's some clever, like, hidden, like, stuff in here that we haven't even thought of that potentially will be more powerful than first glance. Regardless, so they got the same rule they always get. Terror descends aura. In the battle shocks, okay, there's an extra rider to it. In the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if an enemy unit is below its starting strength and is within 12 inches of one or more of your units, they must take a battle shock. So that's low-key powerful. Now, so, you know, I won't go off on it too far, but the issue with battle shock is that, first of all, most armies are, like, elite in 40k or, like, pseudo-elite. Most, like, important units have a character attached to them. So, on average, 6 leadership is, like, the average. That's basically what I consider the baseline. 7 leadership is, like, you know, okay, like, regular infantry might have 7 leadership. Incredibly rare they're gonna have less than that. So, it's not at all reliable in the least bit. Even with the second part of this, which is that their detachment rule, you get -1 to their battle shocks as well. Even with it, they're still going to pass. If they have leadership 6, they're going to pass basically 50-50. If they have leadership 5, then it's basically, like, not that much of a concern. But you know, I'm going to try not to talk down on this detachment too much. But that's the issue with battle shock. What's this last bit here? Oh, okay. They can't take more than 1 battle shock test. That's just like a staple. They didn't even make that just like a main rulebook rule. Because yeah, that's how I expect that. So just to reiterate, enemies below starting strength have to take a battle shock, and then they also get -1 in their battle shock, in either case, so long as they're within 12 inches. The whole, if they're below starting strength, that's low-key powerful, because they might not be able to get a primary objective with that. So I do like it, because, yeah. So not the worst thing ever. For enhancements, so Knight's Shroud, so this one's 20 points, a little spendy. Chaos Lord model only, excluding the Terminator, so it goes on the Jump Lord or the Foot Lord. Models in the Bearer's unit have the Stealth ability. That's actually pretty good. 20 points. I guess that's fair. I'd prefer 15, obviously, like cheaper is better, but I do think that's pretty valid. -1 hit is actually kind of strong versus like Orks that almost, in a sense, it makes you like impervious to their shooting at least. A lot of their melee only hits on 4s as well. They're gonna have a lot of re-rolls, but still, getting -1s is actually very strong. Oh, it wouldn't work on melee though because it's stealth, so forget I said that. Either way, 20 points, a little spinny. It sucks too that can't go on a Terminator because honestly, that'd probably be the best choice. A big blob of Terminators with -1 hit would probably be the best choice, so it kind of sucks that they add that rider there. Next up, we got Willbreaker. So this one's only 10 points, quite cheap. Heretic Astartes model only. In the fight phase, after the bearer has made its attacks, select one enemy unit, but hit by one or more of those attacks, that unit must take a Battle Shock test. So this wouldn't be the worst, you know, so hey, it keys directly off of our detachment rule, you know, and yeah, I like that, that's great. More Battle Shocks is always good. The issue, it happens after they make their attacks, so it's only really going to be especially valuable if you have multiple units in engagement range of them, so I do have some issues with that. That said, it is only 10 points, so not the worst thing ever. You know, it'd be cool, I just now, like, thought of that. If they added an additional rider, when they fail a Battle Shock, they take D3 mortal wounds, that would have shot the detachment way up. So maybe they get FAQ in the future. Maybe we'll get lucky. All right, next up, Warp Thrusters. So this one's 20 points, arguably the strongest one. Jump Pack Lord only. At the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement range, you can remove it from the unit, from the battlefield, and place it into its strategic reserves. This is the strongest in this detachment for sure, and one of the stronger ones in the entire book, I would say. This is basically a realm of chaos that chaos demons have. What's really cool about this, so if you didn't know, as long as a unit started the game turn 1, if they go into reserves for any reason, they can go back onto the board on turn 1 as well. So what I'm getting at is you get a turn 1 deep strike with these guys so long as you went second. So end of your opponent's first turn, you pick up your lord and then jump him on down. Also too, yeah, it says if the bearer's unit, so he can also have a big old blob of raptors with him. So lots of power there. This alone is going to be like, this is going to be a key part of running Dread Talons, I think, and it's very like fluffy. That's an auto include. I think it's an auto include. You just bring it every single time. Last up, we got Eater of Dread. Cool name. So this one's 15 points. Heretic Astartes model only. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result for each battle-shocked enemy that is also on the battlefield. On a 5-up, you gain 1 command point. So we've gone over a bunch of times. CSM is starved for command points for all their stratagems. I don't think it's going to be that rare to get. As long as you're getting multiple units testing for the battle shock, I don't think it's going to be that rare for them to have multiple units Battle Shock. So often you'll get on a 3-up, sometimes even like a 2-up, very often on a 4-up. I would hope for at least that. So this actually isn't bad at all. 15 points again. I'm seeing a theme. I'm pretty sure every single one of these region ones have been 15 points so far. We'll see if the trend continues. But yeah, I don't think it's bad at all. I would definitely consider it for my list at the very least. Let's see, Firedoa. So he is saying, Dread Talons will be fun against Guardsmen. And other Horde armies that have leadership 7 or worse. Yes, that's a great point. Those are going to be like the prime target, of course. Orks, they don't have good leadership, right? I don't think it's the best. I know they do have like some clever ways, like boosted and that sort of stuff. But yeah, Orks would be a perfect target for this. Guardsmen especially. I love murdering Guardsmen as well. So yeah, anything that kills more of them, definitely better. Alright, for stratagems, we got Depthless Cruelty, 1 command point. In the fight phase, 1 Heretic Astartes infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is battle-shocked and or below half strength, improve the armor pin by 1. So very powerful, sucks it has that rider on it, kind of sucks. You know, it's a stinker, because other ones are just getting this without any strings attached. That said, like, while I did talk trash about the Battle Shocks, you're going to be tossing out so many Battle Shocks, especially by turn 3, when, like, you're in the thick of stuff and they can't really hide from you. Yeah, I think you will still get to use it from time to time. It's just not guaranteed. That's the only thing I'm holding back. I will say it's a battle tactic, so that's pretty awesome. Chaos Lords and being able to use it twice, like, so definitely get a little bit of value there. Next up, we got Relentless Terror. In your movement phase, just after a Heretic Astartes infantry unit from your army falls back, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to declare a charge on a turn in which it fell back. So that's powerful everywhere you see it. Being able to leave a screen, go around, hit the target you actually want to hit, like that's pretty nice there. Not the strongest thing ever, but like a lot of utility. Next up, we got Bloody Example. Fight phase, just after a Heretic Astartes unit from your army destroys a character unit. So this is fluffy, I already like it. Each enemy unit within 12 inches invisible to the unit must take a battle shock test. Honestly, I think that's, it's probably worth it. It's in the fight phase, so the turn's almost over. But maybe you do it on so it's their turn in the fight phase, you do it, you force a couple battle shocks, goes into your turn and they're still battle shocked. Okay, that actually does have like some good value there. So I do think this is actually alright, and would definitely be something I'd be tempted to use. At least try to remember. Yeah, try not to forget that one for sure. Ooh, Screaming Descent. So I think this is the best one they got, potentially. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, from the second battle round onwards, 1 Heretic Astartes jump pack unit, so Raptors, Warp Talons, and the Jump Lords. Set up your unit anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 3 inches horizontally away from enemy units, although you are unable to declare a charge. Then, select 1 enemy infantry or mounted unit within 6 inches invisible. That unit must take a battle shock test. This is gigantic. I play a lot of Chaos Demons, especially lately, while I was waiting for this Codex. We'll see if I have to take a break from them. But 3-inch deep strikes are incredibly powerful. Raptors will probably be Raptors are the best choice for this. You wouldn't really want to do it on Warp Talons. That'd be a waste because you can't charge. But Raptors would be incredibly strong with this. The forcing the battle shock is great. Maybe you're fighting me, and I just have my little MSU Chaos Cultists in the backfield, just holding down my home objective. I believe they're leadership 8. I forget off the top of my head. When you drop this guy down, Raptors give you -1 leadership. Your army ability gives you additional -1 leadership. If they are indeed 8, they only pass on, they have, leadership 10. Their odds of passing are like nil. And suddenly that means you flip the objective to you. You flip the primary or secondary, whatever it is. So this is very strong. Don't forget, you can still shoot. While Raptors aren't the shootiest unit ever, you definitely a Cultist squad especially, you'd still be able to wipe out. You have a good chance of wiping the squad, period. At the very least, you definitely would maul them like heavily, and that way they're forced to take their battle shocks all the time, even if you're not within 12 inches. I think this is incredibly strong for only 1 command point. That plays directly into scoring and objective play. I think where it especially shines, if you go second... Yeah, okay, I guess it'd work, because you'd be able to redeploy with your warp-fueled thrusters. If you can hold on to a unit in reserve until the 5th turn, and you went second, then you'd be able to steal an objective from your opponent, because you score at the end of the game instead of end of your command phase, you'd be able to choose an objective, maybe their backfield, and steal it from them. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent there. Next up, we got Pitiless Hunters. So, your shooting phase, 1 Heretic Astartes infantry unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model on your unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is battle shocked and or below half strength, you can reroll the hit and the wound roll. So that gets ultra powerful right there. Again, it's not reliable, but unfortunately, beggars can't be choosers, that's just how it works. But when it does go off, my diggity dog. Unfortunately, it is infantry only, but Havocs would love this, Warp Talons will really love this, Raptors can make use of it, Chosen obviously can make use of it, like any and every infantry you got can make a lot of use out of this. So I think that's also very powerful. Debatably, probably just as powerful as Screaming Descent. I don't know, it's sort of debatable there. Last up, we got Merciless Pursuit. End of your opponent's movement phase. 1 Heretic Astartes infantry unit that is not within engagement range of enemies. Select 1 enemy unit that fell back this turn and is within 6 inches of your unit. Your unit can declare a charge as if it was your charge phase. When doing so, you can only select the enemy unit as that target of the charge. Note that even if this charge is successful, you don't get the boost. This is definitely a gotcha right there. Maybe you manage to tie up a keystone unit that needs to shoot, so I don't know, Obliterators or something. You got another mirror match going on. And they try to fall back from you. Well, Obliterators would be perfect, because they only have a 4-inch move. Nope, you're not going anywhere, bub. I'm still, following you. So lots of value right there. Definitely a gotcha. Definitely, you want to warn your opponent about this. So overall, while they're not the strongest detachment, I agree with you, Firedoa. They got a boatload of fluff, and most importantly, they got a boatload of fun. It's gonna be fun to come up with ways of playing with that leadership. It's gonna be fun to come up with ways of like taking advantage of the list that you made, that plays into your leadership shenanigans. I actually really like it. Again, for Garage Hammer, or just like having a fun match with the boys or whatever, this is a fantastic detachment. I know there's I know there's a lot of Night Lord players out there, and they're like hankering for some fun stuff. So hopefully GW does come back and like tweaks these guys a little. I guess we'll see. I'll be honest, the rest of the codex is so powerful that they might be afraid to tweak any of the attachments to make them better, but I suppose we'll see. Also too, in fact I know they did, Night Lord's got a really sick kill team box set that I'm really tempted to get myself, actually. So Firedoa, you sound like a Night Lord's player. I'm not sure if you are, but if you haven't already, make sure you check out that kill team kit. Ooh, alright, next up, we got Felhammer Siege Host. So basically the Iron Warriors, which, like I mentioned earlier, they're one of my favorite legions of Chaos Space Marines. So their detachment rule is incredibly strong. Iron Fortitude. Each time a ranged attack targets a Heretic Astartes unit from your army, excluding damned units, which is fluffy, and Peter Turbo hated cultists. If the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than toughness, subtract 1 from the wound roll. This is powerful in so many ways. It works on vehicles. Obviously, you'll get a lot of use out of it. Vehicles will often be wounded on like 5s in that, or excuse me, 4s. Very rarely will they be wounded on better than a 4. In fact, it'll be like incredibly rare. You need like a strength 20 weapon to be wounded on a 3-up, so that's huge. But also too, like possessed and T6 or like T5, in that general area units obviously also will get a lot of value out of it. And then even your regular infantry, so even legionaries and whatnot, especially versus, I was thinking earlier, like indirect mortars and that sort of stuff that normally chew through your infantry. It's not like the hugest thing ever, but yeah, they're gonna have a lot more trouble getting through. They already got the -1 hit, you already got the auto cover save, and then add a -1 to wound to that. Those all pile up to be very powerful. I think it's by no means the strongest attachment. It's probably like 4th place, maybe. I guess we'll see as we go through, but I think this is one of the better detachments in the book. It's funny, I have seen some debate about Felhammer, if they're actually good or not. I guess we'll decide at the end of this as we go through. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think as well, so be sure to, if you'd like, be sure to pitch in any thoughts you have on this detachment. So, first enhancement, Bastion Plate. I really like this one, by the way. It's only 10 points, so Chaos Lord only, sadly, and not the jump version. So you can do the foot version of the Terminator. Once per battle round, when a saving throw is failed, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. It does stink that it can only go on the Chaos Lords, but that said, being able to change damage to 0 is gigantic. Don't forget, Chaos Lord and Terminator armor, he halves the damage coming in at him just like naturally, so he suddenly becomes like nearly invulnerable. It sucks that's only once per battle round, but it's only 10 points. This might, if you're bringing a Chaos Lord, this might be an auto-include. At that price, I kind of think it is, to be honest. Next up, we got Warp Tracer. So this one's 20 points, a little spendy. Heretic Astartes model only, and going any, so Lord Disco, maybe you can get some use out of this. In your shooting phase, after the bearer is shot, select one enemy unit hit by one more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, that enemy cannot have the benefit of cover. So this is low-key, like, really strong. This gives the rest of your army +1 AP, essentially. It's almost like a Terminator Sorcerer. So I do think that's very strong, actually. 20 points is a little spendy, but it's good enough. You would probably consider that for every single list. I do think a Disco could get use out of that, because he had the Flamer, so you'd be guaranteed to hit him no matter what. So yeah, Warp Tracer, I would definitely take a look at that. Next up, we got Ironbound Enmity. This one's 15 points. Heretic Astartes model only, can go on anything. Each time the bearer makes an attack while within range of an objective marker, add 1 to the wound roll. That is ultra strong, so that probably is the best one, potentially. And definitely Disco Lord. Okay, so legit Disco Lord can make use out of that. And hey, what do you come to think of it? I think it was the 8th, maybe 9th edition too. That's normally what I ran with my Disco Lords, my 3 of them. But anyways, they do have to be within range of an objective marker. But again, that's literally how you win the game, so that's not that big a deal. +1 a wound on a Disco Lord. Suddenly, his biggest issue, not having high strength, not an issue anymore. Now he can go to vehicles, he can go into infantry, elites, you name it. Otherwise, though, Daemon Prince will get a lot of use out of this. Master Executions will get a lot of use out of this. Literally everything can. 15 points, that, yeah, that's probably an auto-include. Last up, we got Iron Artifice. So, infantry model only. The bearer's weapons have the anti-vehicle 4-up, and funnily enough, anti-fortification 4-up, like, okay. But anyways, anti-vehicle 4-up, that's actually pretty strong. Chaos Lord, he has the Demon Hammer with Dev Wounds. Unfortunately, does only hit on 3s, but you give him the +1 strength, armor pen, and damage, and then he gets the anti-vehicle 4-up as well with the Dev Wounds. I don't know the math, but I'd assume that's at least like 6, probably 9 unsavable damage that goes through. So I do think that's quite powerful. Not an auto-include by any means, but it is only 10 points. Overall, I really like these attachments. They're like relatively cheap for what they're giving you. I think they're all like pretty strong. Next up for Strategem, so Persistent Assailants. In the fight phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as a target and has not been selected to fight this phase. Okay, so this is like a reactive one. Somebody hits you and then you get to react back. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you reroll the hit roll, and if your unit is below half strength, you reroll the wound roll as well. So obviously that's very strong. It shores up, so an issue that I saw some people bringing up about Felhammer is that they don't, like, this is all toughness, nothing boosts their damage output. But I would argue that, like, Chaos Space Marines already do a boatload of damage. You still have Dark Pacts baseline, so you're always getting, like, the lethal or the sustain, so do you really need that much more damage? But regardless, this keys off or plays into giving you more damage back. So I do like this. Yeah, I like it a lot, actually. When it comes up, it'll be very powerful, especially if you're below half strength. Unfortunately, you'd be pretty mauled at that point, but regardless, you're still getting your efficiency. Next up, we got Point Blank Destruction. So this one's really fluffy for Iron Warriors, so I like it there. So your shooting phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that is within engagement range and hasn't shot yet. Until the end of the phase, your unit's ranged weapons, excluding blast, have the pistol ability. So I like it because it's fluffy. Iron Warriors would most definitely just like stand firm and shoot the shit out of you, even if they're in melee. It also lets you do actions even though you're in melee, assuming you didn't already have a pistol there. Don't forget too, pistols don't suffer the -1 to hit if you're in melee, so it improves your accuracy as well. Even if you're fighting like even if you're already a vehicle or something like that. Plenty of ways that's powerful. I do like it quite a bit. It's not like the best thing ever, but like there will be times when it's hell, like, there will be times when it's a game winner if you're able to, you know, deploy your homer or whatever it is while you're stuck in melee. Yeah, definitely good to have. Next up, we got Brutal Attrition. When in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target, you can choose one of your Heretic Astartes infantry units that's not a damned unit that was selected. Until the end of the phase, each time a melee attack is located to your unit, after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, roll a d6 to a maximum of 6d6 per attacking unit. For each 4-up, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. I think this is actually, like, it heavily depends on the situation, but I think it's pretty strong. Literally every unit ever that's going to charge you is going to max it out to the 6 per. So maybe you do like something wild. You get like a triple charge going on, and when they clap back, you get to you get to do, on average, it'd be 3 mortal wounds to each of them. There's a lot of value there. I like Brutal Attrition quite a bit. Maybe you spike the roll on one of the units and get like 5 fucking mortal wounds. Like yeah, I think it's good. I think it's really good, actually. Next up, you got Steadfast Determination. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit selects its target. 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that's not a cultist that was selected as the target. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit have the Feel No Pain 5-up. This is the best stratagem they have. There are no restrictions aside from cultists, so Khorne Lord of Skulls, don't mind if I do. Defilers, who are insanely good. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. Defilers are like, I'm running 3 of them at some point. And this detachment worked great for him too. Very Iron Warrior-y. A 5-up Feel No Pain is the same, is essentially mathematically the same, is getting a 50% boost. So your Khorne Lord of Skulls, he'd go up to, I think he has 22 wounds, so he'd go up to 33 wound equivalent, I believe, at T13 as well. Defilers would go up to, I think it'd be like 20 wound equivalent, something, or 18 wound equivalent. Lots of units. And then even your infantry, any of the 3 wound ones especially, Possessed, Chosen, that sort of stuff, definitely get use out of this. This is the strongest one, and one you don't want to save your command points for. I should mention too, don't forget, they're getting -1 to wound as well, assuming they have higher strength than you. God damn, dude, yeah, these guys are going to be resilient as heck. Next up, we got Pitiless Cannonade. In your shooting phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot yet. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is below half strength, a successful unmodified hit roll of 5 up scores a critical hit. So, it's okay. Yeah, it's just okay. It's too conditional. They have to be below half strength. That said, murdering vehicles, this will be especially good. So maybe they got like, I don't know, a monolith or something that's pretty low. You can do the lethal hits and get the 5 up, so yeah, a third of your hits just automatically wound. There will be cases when it comes up, but this is one that you're going to forget. I know I'll be guilty of forgetting this one a lot. It is a battle tactic, so there is something there. In fact, I'm noticing they have 3 battle tactics, so they might like Chaos Lords quite a bit. Last up, we got Siegecraft. Start of your opponent's charge phase. One Heretic Astartes unit from your army, so hey, maybe Disco Lord. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit selects your unit as the target, subtract 2 from their charge roll. So that's strong in every army it shows up in. Where it's especially good is if they deep strike in. If they deep strike in, they may as well not even roll. And then even cases, so like maybe you're fighting me and I got my demons, I come in 6 inches from you. Now suddenly what I thought was going to be a sure deal turns into an 8-inch charge. Granted, I do have the icon, or excuse me, instrument, so it'd still be a 7-inch charge, but, but that's only 50-50 instead of the near guaranteed I had it earlier. So I do think that's quite powerful. I like these overall, I like these quite a bit. Like I said, I've seen some debate on the Felhammer Siege host. Let's see if any of you had to come in. Okay, so this goes back to Night Lords, I believe. I think. So Fired Oa says, so you are a Night Lord player. I had a feeling. While I do agree this detachment isn't the best, I'm looking forward to trying it and feel very rewarding to win in casual games. Would get Kill Team if it was in stock. Good point on the end stock. Yeah, isn't that funny how that works? And then, and yeah, man, that great point too. Yeah, clap yourself on the back if you win with Night Lords. And yes, and like, you'll have earned that win for sure. So I agree with you there. So Felhammer host, I think they're strong. I think they're competitive. I'm very tempted. So, something I love about this book, I want to try every single detachment. So 100%, I'm going to make an army for every single detachment. And this is one of the ones I'm drawn to trying first. I'm probably going to do Vashtorr first, Red Corsairs second. These guys might be third. I guess time will tell. But yeah, overall, they're not the strongest in the book by any means, but I think they bring some like pretty damn powerful abilities, and they're not OP at all. I'm sure some dummies out there are gonna bitch that CSM are overpowered now, which they aren't at all. Not in the least bit. They're kind of fragile. Like there's reasons we aren't at all like OP. But anyways, bringing a detachment like this, they won't have an excuse to say that. Next up, we got Pactbound Zealots. So I really love the art in this one. So these are the word bearers. So basically the index detachment didn't change too much, but there were some very important changes. So first of all, they get the Marks of Chaos. So when you make your army, pretty much every unit, aside from epic heroes and ones that already have them assigned, so like Abaddon is already an Undivided, for example, you can give them one of the Marks of the Gods. So Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, or Undivided. If you go Khorne, okay, briefly I'll go over these. So Khorne gives you lethal hits on a 5-up to hit. Tzeentch gives you lethal hits at ranged in a 5-up to hit. And then Undivided, both sustained and lethal. Undivided lets you reroll 1s to hit, which is great. For sustained, Nurgle gives you 5-up sustained at range. Slaanesh gives you 5-up sustained in melee. So it comes pretty obvious what you're going to do. Shooty units go Nurgle. Killy melee units go Slaanesh. If you have a weaker unit that doesn't have as high strength and you want it to be anti-vehicle or the sort, you go Khorne. And then if you have something with a lot of output, so maybe bikers, Chaos Bikers, you bring a full squad with all their combi bolters, they can probably make use of Tzeentch the best there. Although it'd be debatable. Nurgle as well is also. Most of the time you are going to choose Nurgle, by the way. So the big change that they made is before you used to just like automatically get these no matter what. Now you have to pass your test. So you choose lethal or sustained, and then you take a leadership, and if you fail, you don't get the extra boost. You'll still get the 6-up, but you don't get the exploding 5. So that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big like nerf. But it's valid. It's very fair that GW did that, because otherwise this detachment, it's funny, this detachment is still ultra powerful, and they might have stayed the most powerful had they not added that on there. Now you got a little bit of wiggle room on if you're always going to get it. I will say it makes like icons stronger. So you definitely want to like try to add or try to run units that have icons in it. That way you guarantee you get your dark packs on there. One other note to mention: it used to be right before the Codex, you couldn't put mixed units into a transport that didn't share the same keyword. So like you couldn't put a Nurgle unit in an undivided transport. Now you can. Time will tell if that gets FAQ'd, and I bet it will. I don't know, like, why wouldn't GW? That's how it was before, but I guess time will tell. Take advantage of it while you can. So the enhancements didn't change too much, aside from one big change as well. They're also, all of them are 15 points each, so it makes that easy to remember there. So the big change they had is you get like a normal boost. For most of them, you get like a normal boost baseline, and then you have to pass your Dark Pact to get the second one, which kind of sucks, because before you just automatically got the boost. Talisman of Burning Blood, add 1 to the attacks and strengths characteristic, and then if you make a Dark Pact and you don't fail, you add D3. So this is alright. It's okay. It'd be fine on like Lord Discordant. He would like having that. Where it's especially good is going to be a Demon Prince. A Khorne Demon Prince is strength 10 baseline. This would take him up to strength 11, so that's great anti-vehicle. And then with instead of 1, you get D3. Maybe you get lucky and you get the +3. Suddenly you're strength 13. Now you're threatening like land raiders and all that sort of stuff. So I do see some value there, but it's not the best ever. Next up, Eye of Tzeentch. So this guy got a huge price cut. This used to be 40 points, and nobody ever took it. Now it's only 15 points, so you might see some more. Tzeentch model only. Each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact and does not fail the leadership test, if the result of that test was 8 or more, you gain 1 command point. I am curious. I don't think you can reroll a successful leadership test with the icon. I guess, well, I'm sure one of the data sheets we look at will have the icon, but I think it's only for failed ones, so you can't like force an 8 up. So unfortunately, it's not reliable, but it is only 15 points. This detachment does have some pretty good, stratagem, so you'll still be hungry for the CP there. So I think it's okay. It's something you you consider. You got 15 points left over. It's probably better than most of the other ones. Intoxicating Elixir is pretty good. So got some value there. Orbs of Unlife, obviously Nurgle only. At the end of the fight phase, roll a d6 for every enemy unit within 3 inches of the bearer. So not the unit, but the bearer. Adding 1 to the result if the bearer's unit made a Dark Pact and didn't fail the leadership. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So this kind of sucks. This is one you bring for like fluffy list. It's not only do you have to pass a leadership. Well, actually, no, you don't have to pass the leadership, but you don't get the boost unless you do. But it's not guaranteed. You still got to get a 4-up, so no matter what, it's still 50-50. You also, you got to get within range of multiple units, and then if you do pass it, you might just do a single mortal wound. Even at 15 points, I don't think it's very good. At 10 points, maybe 5 points, yeah, that would have been great. Alright, the best one, though, in my opinion, Intoxicating Elixir. So Slaanesh model only. This one definitely would work on a Lord Discordant, by the way. The bearer gets a 5-up Feel No Pain, so that's fantastic. We mentioned it with the Iron Warriors. That's essentially a 50% resiliency boost. And then each time the bearer shoots or fights, if the bearer's unit made a Dark Pact and didn't fail the leadership, you choose a unit that was hit by 1 or more of those attack, and they must take a Battle Shock. So not the most powerful thing ever, but there will be times when Battle Shock comes in there will be times when it wins you the game, as incredibly rare as that'll be. So that's pretty alright. But the main reason you're bringing this is the 5-up Feel No Pain. For 15 points, hot diggity dog, yeah, I'd bring that every single time. If I'm bringing a Slaanesh beat stick. Let's see. Yeah, no, that would especially work on Lord Discordant, because with Slaanesh you can get Advance and Charge, we'll see in a moment. And you can also get the sustained hits, and he puts out a boatload of melee attacks, so this would be really good on Lord Discordant. You could also do a Demon Prince, but Demon Prince have really middling strength, so I'm kind of concerned with that. They would work great into Orks, though. Like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it near the beginning of this video, we need to tune our list for at least a little bit. Don't build your list around it at all, but bring a little bit of anti-infantry, anti-horde specifically, and this might play into that, or Lord Disco might play into that. Alright, for stratagems, you got Eye of the Gods. In the fight phase, just after a character unit from your army, excluding Damned, Demon, and Epic Hero units, destroys an enemy unit. You choose your character. Until the end of the battle, add 1 to the move, toughness, and wounds, and add 1 to the attacks and strength and damage of a model's melee weapons. This is Lord Discordant's a demon, isn't he? I know he's mounted. I think he's a demon, though. Damn it, can't use it on him. Can't use it on Demon Prince either. But regardless, Master Executions will love this. Chaos Lord will obviously love this. All that sort of stuff. Notice, too, there's no limit. Dude, this would be such a fun game, like such a fun match to get this off multiple times. Get +2 damage, +2 attacks, +2 toughness wounds move. Like, yeah, I think that's really fun. Only 1 command point as well. It's not the most powerful thing ever, but I think it's like, it's really fun. It's one of those ones that you like want to use. All right, next up, Skin Shift. So in your command phase, you can choose a Heretic Stars unit from your army. 1 model in that unit regains up to 3 wounds. In addition, if it's a Tzeentch unit and it's below its starting strength, you can bring back a destroyed model with its full wounds remaining. You can't bring back characters though, obviously. So this will work on, like, Obliterators are perfect for it. They did have a big change. Obliterators can only come in pairs of 2 now, and unlike before, we could bring 4, whereas, like, damn, we're getting, like, really hot here. You only bring 2, so their odds of surviving are pretty slim. That said, even if it's not, so you use on anything, Tzeentch gets to bring back a model, but anything can get back 3 wounds, so vehicles especially will love this. Defilers are looking so hot right now. Yeah, Defilers so hot right now. This will help on getting them back up. Maybe they're bracketed or something like this. This will help it. So Skin Shift definitely has some value there. Next up, Eternal Hate. So in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected as targets, you can choose 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target. Until the end of the phase, you get a Fight on Death on a 4-up. If you're Khorne, you add 1 to the roll. So Khorne units will get a 3-up Fight on Death. Otherwise, it's a 4-up Fight on Death. This is a very powerful stratagem when you can get it to work. It's unreliable is the issue, because you need a 4-up or potentially a 3-up to, like, get it. That said, it works on literally anything. So you'd have Abaddon. Again, it's risky, because it's, you still got to get on a 4-up, but you have, like, Abaddon Fight on Death. I have definitely, so I mentioned earlier, I love Possessed. Possessed are my favorite infantry in the army. I love Possessed Bombs. They did get nerfed a little bit, but I'm still going to bring Possessed Bombs. Like, good luck stopping me. And I have used this before, and it was, like, vital. What was it? It was the Stern Guard vet, whatever the Space Marines equivalent of, like, their chosen are. Came in, did a boatload of damage. I was able to get, like, 4 or 5 models to fight back and end up wiping them. Anyways, that's a tangent. Fortifying Refrain, that's a cool name. In your movement phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. If you're Slaanesh, you can also advance in charge or fall back. Ultra powerful, ultra strong. This is, you're going to use it if you're bringing Slaanesh units and you, like, you need to charge something, you're going to use this every single turn. When I played, so again, this is like the index detachment. That's something that's cool too. You don't have to, like, practice for these guys. If you've been playing the index all edition, you know them inside and out. Nothing changed that much. But yeah, advance and charge on Slaanesh unit is giant. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. And then again, even on a regular unit, being able to fall back and charge, still powerful there. You can reroute yourself around a screen, whatever the reason. Next up, we got Profane Zeal. So either your shooting or your fight phase, you can choose an undivided unit of any sort. So hey, Lord Disco can make use of this. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the wound roll. So this is unchanged from the index. Ultra, 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 ultra powerful. Where it's especially good is Possessed. Possessed love this. Possessed do, on average, they do about 20 damage of unsavable damage to literally any target in the game, because you got to remember, you get exploding hits. Hopefully you got a Hellbrute next near it, and then 6s end up being dead wounds with the reroll everything. Yeah, it gets crazy with them. They're the anti everything. Like I said, I'm still gonna bring Possessed, even though they got nerfed to just once per game. Gonna do that. All right, lastly, we got Festering Miasma. Hey, they renamed it so it's, like, easier to pronounce. I like that a lot. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after they select a target, you can choose 1 unit from your army of any type. Until the end of the phase, you get the Stealth ability. In addition, if it's a Nurgle unit, you can only be selected as a target if they're within 18 inches. That is always strong. That's strong in every army. So Chaos Demons, Be'lakor, you see him left, right, and center in tournament list. And he has that exact same rule. Granted, his is an aura, but either way, like, lots of value there. Currently, until they FAQ it, if they FAQ it, you can play it on Rhinos or Land Raider. Maybe you got a Vital Land Raider, has a ultra important squad inside of it that you don't want to get blasted. Maybe you go second, you left it. Hell, you could put on the line if you pre-measure stuff correctly. There's value there. And then even if it's not a Nurgle unit, -1 to hit that's a good survivability boost right there. Like I mentioned earlier, like Orks will hate that, Tau will hate that, Astra Militarum will hate that, all sorts of stuff. Hey Neil, glad you can make it, brother. And don't worry all about being late one bit. Not to mention it. I'm glad you can make it, brother. I remember, yeah, we were. You've left some comments before, so appreciate you making it, brother. So we just finished the Pactbound Zealots. So, excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. I apologize. Pactbound Zealots, they are just as strong as in the Index. I would argue they're one of the top 3 detachments in the book, potentially. I think, too, I was thinking earlier, too, I'm like, well, if the other detachments suck, at least we still got our fallback. So, like, no matter what, you can still fall back on Pactbound Zealots. Because, guys, 5-up crits is a gigantic, huge, humongous deal. That's like a straight up, I believe, I don't know the exact math, but it's at least like a 30% damage boost. Where it especially keys off is Hellbrutes. Hellbrutes let you get both. So you can get both sustained and lethal on 5-ups? That is insane. I wonder what the damage, what the percentage boost is there. It gets like insano. You toss in Abaddon as well, so you're rerolling all the hits. Like, so I think you're still going to see that from time to time as tournaments. I guarantee there's people out there who are like dead set on their current Index army and they don't want to change it at all. And they're like, fuck the other detachments, man. I've been having like, I love my list. Like, I bought all these units for this reason. They're going to stick with this army. You can still get a lot of use out of them. I think Pactbound Zealots incredibly strong. They might be the second most powerful. Like it's debatable. Neil, unfortunately, you did miss Renegade Raiders. You know, long story short, they're the best detachment in the army. Very, very, very ultra powerful, strong. Yeah. Unfortunately, you missed it, but maybe after this video, you can rewind. So I try to add the timestamps later on. Like, it'll take me a bit to add timestamps, but I'll add timestamps later. Like I said, though, so just as powerful as ever. Sadly, they didn't get... so yeah, this was a note I wrote down. Sadly, so they didn't get much that was new. Not much change, and that's something that, like, I'm kind of sad of. They did rename some of the stratagems, so, you know, that's cool, but most of it's the exact same. But you don't have to relearn the army at all. Maybe you are very, very, very good with the Index detachment as it is now. Well, hey, you can continue to be very, very, very good. So I think, yeah, I think you'll see them all the time. Also, Word Bearers are awesome. I wish they boosted Possessed a little bit more. That's, you know what? I gotta subtract a point from them. Now they're the worst attachment, because why the hell aren't you buffing my Possess? That makes me sad. Ooh, alright guys, get ready, drum roll. My favorite detachment in the book, we got Soulforged War Pack, aka Vashtorr's Pact. So this is my favorite one in the book. Debatably, arguably, potentially one of the strongest detachments in the entire game. I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic here. Potentially the strongest detachment in the game. I fucking love these guys, and they're so fun and fluffy, even if you're not playing for competitive. Maybe you're just having a fun match. Maybe you're like me last night, and you just want to write up a fun list. You know, call me crazy. This is the perfect detachment for it. They are so good. Finally, you get a reason to bring Vashtorr. It's a soul grinder, but basically a defiler. Suddenly, your defilers are going to be off the charts good. I'm like hyperventilating how good this freaking army is. Oh, Francis, that's a touchy one. Francis asks, is Disco Lord going to be good in the detachment? Ooh, unfortunately, he's neither a vehicle nor a demon engine. So, the fuck, GW? Ah, man, that hurt. Why'd you bring that up? I was on such a positive note, and now I'm like, oh, that hurt. I'm joking, obviously, but I'm sure we'll find out in a second if there's ways to do it. And I'm gonna be real with you too. Like, I'm gonna force in the Disco Lord. I don't care if he like has rules he can key off of or not. I'm gonna force him in this list. I'm gonna relive the glory days of like 8th and 9th edition with my they're pseudo Iron Warriors in my eyes too. So yeah. All right. Let's get into it. Oh god, I love this detachment so much. I'm so happy with them. So, detachment rule. Debt to the Soulforged. By the way, the fluff behind it is cool. Vashtorr, like, I don't know all the fluff inside and out, but he runs the Chaos Forge in the Realm of Chaos. So he runs and makes, like, all the demon engines. Abaddon has to go to him and, like, suck his dick off to get, like, his own demon engine. Maybe not Abaddon, but I can tell you, like, a lowly Chaos Lord, yeah, he's gonna be doing some funky stuff to get his demon engines. And then, yeah, he's trying to become the 5th Chaos God, which I very much hope he gets. Maybe when end times roll around, this guy will be like a key player in it. I guess we'll see. Anyways, all right, I'm getting on a tangent here. Debt to the Soulforged. Each time a Heretic Astartes demon vehicle from your army makes a dark pact, it can invoke its contract. If it does, subtract 1 from the resulting leadership test, and then until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, add 1 to the wound roll, hot diggity dog, and then add 2 to the attacks characteristics of melee weapons. So, holy shit, guys. Vindicator, okay, well, okay. So, we'll see in a bit. There's a way to turn normal vehicles into demon vehicles. So, so any vehicle you can think of, Vindicators, suddenly you're getting +1 to wound. Predators, +1 to wound. Better yet, Forge Fiends, +1 to wound. Defilers, with their strength 16, they're going to wound like everything in the game on a 2-up, +1 to wound. They're also, oh wait, excuse me, it's range attack only, so I do need to remember that. However, they would get +2 attacks to their melee, so that's still great there. Million Theans are going to key off of this. Now, it does have to be a demon vehicle, so you're possessed, Lord Discordant, unfortunately. That sort of stuff aren't going to, like, key off of that, but everything else is going to be so strong. And already, that's like the standard tournament list for CSM right now, is like 2 to 3 Vindicators, 1 to 3 Predators, etc., etc., etc. Ooh, Venom Crawlers. Those are one of my favorite models. They're going to key off of this in both ways. Like, oh, man, oh, it's so good. Alright, Invigorated Mecha Tendrils. I gotta look up, how many points was this? So, 15 points. A little spendy for what you're getting, because all it does is, so it's Warpsmith only, and it adds 4 inches to their move characteristic. Now that said, a little spendy, kind of boring, only 4 inches, but does have some pretty good value. They have the, so to heal stuff and give the +1 to hit, and somewhere about to see here, one of the best enhancements in the entire game, does only have a 3-inch range, so you need to keep them next to your Defilers, your Forge Fiends, your Venom Crawlers, etc. So being able to get 10-inch move, like, there's some value there. But 15 points, I wish it was like 10 points. Next up, we got Tempting Addendum. So, I'm just going to clap. Good job, GW. This is very, like, on point for this this detachment, and is something you're going to see literally every detachment. When you write your list, start it off with the Warpsmith with this. That's just how it goes. So, Heretic Astartes model only, so you could put this on a Lord Discordant. Oh, dude, and he has a pretty big base. Anyway, alright, I'm getting excited here. Anyways, anytime a demon vehicle invokes its contract while it's within 3 inches of the bearer, if it suffers a mortal wound, it suffers 1 additional mortal wound, so you will be hurting yourself a little for it, but until the end of the phase, they reroll all their hits. I'm like speechless. They reroll all their hits. That is crazy, and it's a bubble, so you infect anything that's within 3 inches of it. Defiler's got little, like, crab legs, so you just, like, peek the little tip of it in there, so I bet you could fit a whole bunch of stuff, like, all around that. You're at, yeah, reroll hits, +1 to wound, +2 attacks in melee. It's just like, and it's only 25 points. Like, that's a steal. This is, yeah, Windmill Slam. Every single list you write goes right in there. I just start the list, basically. You're not writing a 2,000 point list. You're writing a 1975 list. Next up, we got Forge's Blessing. Heretic Astartes model only. In your command phase, select 1 friendly vehicle. Doesn't have to be demon, by the way. Within 12 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit has a 6-up Feel No Pain. So, damn it, I was going to say it could, I mean, technically you could put on Lord Disco, but he can't target himself, so never mind there. This one's just okay. How many points is it? Oh, it's 20 points. That's too much for a 6-up. If it was a 5-up, yeah. 5-up being auto-include every single time, but 6-up, it's debatable. 6-up is basically 20% boost, so you're not getting that much, but it does have a little value. Maybe got 20 points left over somehow. Okay, in that case, yeah, I'd consider it. Last up, we got Soul Harvester. So, Heretic Astartes model only, so you can put on Lord Disco. Sorry I bring it up so much. While the bearer is on the battlefield, each time an enemy unit is within 12 inches of the bearer, roll a d6. On a 5-up, you gain 1 command point. So 15 points for that. This is like the worst version I think we've seen so far of the region. That said, there will be times when you get like multiple attempts at it. And like I've mentioned a bunch of times, we are super ultra heavy starving for command points, so like you kind of want it. But I would only, like, I'd only consider that at the very end of writing my list, and maybe I magically got 15 points left over, then okay, I guess at that point, maybe I'll toss it in there. Alright, for, excuse me. For stratagems, we got Desperate Pledge. In your shooting phase or the fight phase, one Heretic Astartes demon vehicle from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight until the end of the phase. If you invoke your contract, which of course you would, why wouldn't you? Each time it makes an attack, improve the armor pin by 1. Ding, 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 ding. So we got, what do we got so far? We got +1 a wound, reroll all hits, and now we're adding +1 AP on top of that, and we can make Vindicators and the sort, also Demon Engines. So your Vindicators should go up to AP 4. Your Venom Crawlers are going to love this. They go from AP 1 to AP 2. Forage Fiends are going to love it. They'll go up to AP, I think they'll go to AP 4 in melee. AP 5 Meltas, like, gets freaking insane. Oh, that is such a good one. Yeah, and like I said, you're going to do your contract every time, so, like, I wouldn't worry about that much. Next up, we got Unstoppable Rampage. In your movement phase or your charge phase, one Heretic Astartes vehicle doesn't have to just be demons. Until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal, advance, or charge move, you can move through terrain as though it were not there. Oh my god, Defilers are going to love this. Defilers, the biggest issue has always been how hard it is to get through, like, all the terrain and whatnot. Nope, not an issue anymore. We're going to see when we get to them. Defilers got, like, the biggest glow up in the entire book, in my opinion. So they're ultra good. Mauler Fiends obviously get a lot of value out of this. It's not limited, so Titanic units can use it. So Corn Lord of Skull says, hey, what up? It's beautiful, too. You can hide behind Obscuring on your turn. Hide behind Obscuring so you can't be shot, and then on your turn, move through the cover and just charge right into them. This is ultra, ultra, ultra strong. I'm glad GW thought of that, because obviously it's going to be a very vehicle-heavy and especially demon engine-heavy, and a lot of them are kind of like clumsy to get across the field, so I'm glad that they tossed us this, because this was very needed. That would have been a huge issue with them and probably would have held them back competitively a little bit. This totally fixes that right away. Alright, we got Glut of Souls. Fight phase, one Heretic Astartes demon vehicle that is not a Titanic. Until the end of the phase, if your unit invokes its contract, which of course you would, each time it makes an attack that destroys an enemy model, roll a d6. On a 5-up, you regain 1 lost wound to a maximum of 6. So this is just okay. This is just like alright. Maybe you got a vehicle that's bracketed and you got them in melee, so it is fight phase only, of course. It's, you know, it's okay in that sense that you regen a few wounds. You got to think, too, you're definitely bringing Warpsmiths with this army. Almost assuredly you're bringing Warpsmiths. Oh, I forgot to mention all these times I'm like, oh, what else do they get? They also get +1 to hit, guys, if you're bringing the Warpsmiths. So, like, insane. Oh, +1 wound, +1 to hit, reroll all hits, +1 AP, like... It's like doing a riddle, spelling them all out. So there is some value. So you'll begin heals from the Warpsmith alone, but you can use it in either fight phase. So maybe you're worried about, you know, you might not make it through until your turn or whatever. You'll be able to play this and still get a few wounds back. Or maybe you, like, super want to heal them, so you're going to use both the Warpsmith and this. So they're, you know, I've got a little bit of use. Next up, we got Predatory Pursuit. In your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, you can choose one vehicle, not just demons, that is within 9 inches of that unit and not within engagement range. You can make a normal move up to 6 inches, but you must end that move close as possible to that enemy unit. You also, it doesn't tell you that you can end an engagement range, so unfortunately you won't be able to do that either. So that one, normally reactive moves are like ultra, super, duper powerful, but this one has some like caveats to it that kind of hold it back. That's not the worst thing ever. Maybe you Venom Crawler into a Scout Squad or something. Mauler Fiend into Terminators, you know, like you name it. You can get closer to them, so there is a little bit of value. You could like be a madman and spend 2 command points and also charge through or move through terrain as well. So, you know, it's okay. For certain, there will be times when it comes up, but it's not nearly as good as the other reactive moves you normally see. Ooh, alright, Demonic Possession. This is one of the better ones, in my opinion. In your command phase, you can choose one vehicle unit that's not a demon unit. Until the end of the battle, it gets the demon keyword. So this gives you the Demon Vindicators, Demon Predators, Demon Land Raiders, Demon you name it. All of a sudden, this is gigantic. Vindicators are a staple, and they're going to continue to be a staple. Not just for Chaos Space Marines. Any and every army that can bring Vindicators are going to bring them. So if you guys haven't already, like, be teching for that. Most people do know to tech for, like, vehicles, but you got to remember, yeah, 2-up save, T11 vehicle, like, be prepared for it. And especially if there's some CSM players in your meta or whatever, definitely be prepared for it then. And yeah, expect a +1 wound. So they're basically they're wounding everything in the game on a 2-up. They're rerolling all the hits. They're hitting on 2s. +1 AP if you want it. I'm like, speechless. All right, lastly, we got Feeding Frenzy. Anybody ever play Fusion Frenzy? Man, that was such a good Xbox game. Fusion Frenzy. Anyways, Feeding Frenzy. Your opponent's move phase, when an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is selected to fall back, one Heretic Astartes demon vehicle that was within engagement range. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, that was within engagement range falls back, all models in that unit must take a desperate escape. If they were battle shocked, subtract 1 from each of those tests. So this is a pseudo gotcha. This will come up from time to time and could be powerful. I did do a preview on this detachment. I did that video a couple days ago and I brought it up there, but I'll bring it up again here. Just last week or so, I played an Astra Militarum player, and it was a really fun match. He brought nothing but tanks, and I had like possessed and stuff, a bunch of possessed bombs. It wasn't the best ever, but regardless, he had the whatever the leader of their faction is called, Leonidas or Leonidas, whatever his name is. He had him. I got him caught in melee with I want to say it was like a Mauler Fiend or something like that. He failed his battle shock, and he knew he was a dead man if he didn't get out of there, so he fell back, but he had to take a desperate escape. Yep, he lost the guy. He also had, he rolled really bad, that's why it's memorable. He had, like, 3 models. He had 2 of the, horse dudes, whatever they're called, and all 3 of them died. It was crazy. Yeah, I, didn't even believe it. This will come up from time to time. It sucks that it doesn't target monsters and vehicles. That would, ultra improve the value. But the example I just gave, so maybe Abaddon. Maybe you got Abaddon stuck with you. Although, would he want to fall back? Very rarely. But maybe, weird stuff happens. They would be very risky. There's a 50-50 chance they're going to die. You are able to re-roll it, so that'd drop it down to, a 25% chance. But even then, do you risk it at that point? All right, let's see what anyone has to say. Also, I'm going to take a swig of coffee real quick. My apologies. There we go. All right, so Firedoa brought up an excellent point that I don't write scripts, but I have little notes, so I hopefully don't forget stuff. By the way, I forgot 3/4 of what the notes I did have. But one thing I noted was, yes, Vashtorr and his +1 strength. Toss that on to +1 to wound. Forge Fiends are going to go to strength 11 with the Ectoplasma. You're wounding T10 and below vehicles on 2-ups with your freaking Forge Fiend. That is insane. Venom Crawlers into infantry. They're wounding most of them on 2-ups. Oh boy. Elites. You're, man, that coffee hit the spot. Elites, you're winning on 3-ups all of a sudden, most likely. There are a lot of really good uses there. I gotta clear my throat again, I apologize. Let's see. Firedoa also said -1 to rolls for Daemon Prince, most likely coming from the demanding contracts that Vashtorr gives. So I don't think Daemon Prince can do this because he's not a vehicle. It has to be a demon vehicle. If that's what you're saying, I might have misunderstood what you're saying there. And then finally, Neil says, if you can ever manage to buy a Vindicator, dude, I'm in the same boat. Although, luckily, I own a 3D printer. If you guys don't own a 3D printer, then you might consider one. For the price of a Khorne Lord of Skulls, probably way cheaper these days because you can get them used, super worth it. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna print out a boatload of the Vindicator fronts. I have 6 rhinos. I only own a single Vindicator though. So I'm going to print out a bunch of those. But yeah, man, you're spot on. They're hard to get. Oh, and Firedoa, you never have to apologize. I was wondering if you meant Dark Packs too. Yeah, -1 rolls for the Dark Pack, most likely from the demanding contract. So, yes, I'm glad you brought it up. So, GW was kind of smart with it, because this is ultra powerful, guys. This is ultra powerful. People are going to be debating if this is the strongest detachment in the entire game. I'm going to be one of those people. So I'm glad they gave it a pretty bad, well, relatively bad downside to it. It's really not terrible. Most of them, well, almost all, I'm pretty sure, every single one, is Leadership 6. So this will knock you down to 7. So it's 50-50 that you're going to be taking between 2 to 4 mortal wounds. Don't forget either, you're taking those mortal wounds before you get to attack, unlike before. So, there's definitely a downside to it. Forge Fiend, you're going to be really careful doing his Dev Wounds ability as well, because all of a sudden he's going to have Hazardous, 3 Hazardous, I might add. I have, even with the Index, before it was you hurt yourself beforehand, I have had terrible rolls with the with the Hazardous, and then you also fail your Dark Pact as well, where you get, yeah, dude, you take like 7 damage to yourself. It gets insane. So this army, be careful. Venom crawlers like don't have the most wounds or whatever. You potentially might knock yourself down by almost half of your wounds with just a single failed roll there. So definitely some issues there. You can't reroll them either. Well, it's a leadership. Yeah, I don't think you can reroll it either. So, like, yeah, I'm glad GW added that because for sure it's worthy of having a sort of downside. I've always liked that sort of game design as well, where it's like you give some, you take some. I like it. That's why I was super happy with the original CSM Index. I thought it was the best army rule. I still think it was like the best army rule, not only from like how powerful it was, but just from like how fair and like good it was. Like, yeah, how fair it was overall. So, anyways, I digress. Soulforged Warpack, I think they're right up there with Red Corsairs. They're right up there with the Renegades. It's debatable who's best. If I'm being, like, honest with myself, Renegades are probably better. Renegades are probably better just from, like, a scoring and variability. So the Vashtorr, like, every list is going to be very similar. As many Demon engines as you can throw in there. Renegade Raiders, you're going to see some variety. So that is one thing to hold it back. That said, this is still my favorite. Next list I'm going to write, for sure, it's going to have, like, 2 Defilers, 3 Venom Crawlers, 2 to 3 Warpsmiths. One issue it's going to have, though, so scoring could be an issue. So this, I remember in, I think it was 9th, start of 9th or maybe end of 8th, when I ran a lot of Iron Warriors, I used to have to remind people all the time, because I wrote strategy for them and stuff back then, too. Don't forget your scoring. Don't forget your scoring, don't forget your screening, don't forget your chaff. You need all that stuff, too. It's going to be really tempting to bring nothing but Demon Engines. I think that's a mistake. You're still going to need a boatload of Cultists. Possessed wouldn't hurt at all. You need all that sort of stuff so that you can still do missions and secondaries. Luckily, that's where stuff like Nurglings comes in handy. So, yeah, I don't think they're completely left in the cold, but be careful, because scoring's going to be an issue. Enemy hordes might be an issue as well. Forge Fiends will do really good into them, and maybe the, because you get +1 a wound, maybe the, like, Gatling Cannon versions will actually see some play. I doubt it, but maybe. So, yeah, man, nothing not to like about it. They just get everything they need. +1 AP, fantastic. Reroll hits, obviously fantastic. Oh, yeah, and good point on the +1 mortal wound as well. Like, +2 melee attacks too, so we're almost to the unit data sheets, but +2 melee attacks, that's going to come up a lot on a lot of units. Hellbrute especially got really fun with that. Ooh, alright, next up, so we're on to the fun detachment. Not necessarily strong, but fun as hell. I love the artwork. Dark Commune is sick. I literally just painted mine last night. Just painted my Dark Commune finally. I need to buy like two more of them, but regardless, really cool unit. So I'll tell you right off the bat, so it's the worst detachment in the book, but I don't care one bit. 1000%, I'm throwing them on the table, man. I have been waiting for a cultist-themed detachment for like years now, many years now. I can't remember the last, I feel like it was like 7th edition, if even, that they had a cultist-themed army. So this is fantastic. Their detachment rule, Desperate Devotion. Each time a damned unit from your army with the Dark Pact ability is selected to make a normal move, or advanced move, or charge, assuming you didn't come in from reserves, you can make a Desperate Pact. If it does, you add 2 to your move, and add 2 to your charges. So that alone, pretty good. Not, you know, I'd rather have like +1 to wound or -1 to wound if being shot by someone with a higher strength. But, you know, I'll take what I get. +2 move on Accursed especially, like that's fantastic. Felgor Beastmen, they can sort of make some memes out of it, sort of. Desperate Pacts though, so this one's a little brutal. Each time you make a Desperate Pact, you must first take a leadership test. If that test is failed, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds before any effects of that pact are resolved. So that's rough. Yeah, you're taking D3 mortal wounds on your little chaff units that don't tend to like taking wounds. Geez, I can stumble over my words here. That said, there's other rules that we're about to see in a moment that actually key off, like being under, having like killed units, so being under starting strength, that sort of stuff. So there are times when it's like good. Also as well, the Apostle has Leadership 5, Dark Apostle, Leadership 5, and you attach them to Cultists. So if you have that guy attached, like, I wouldn't worry one bit about those leaderships. It's going to be incredibly rare for him to fail it. I'm having a brain fart, but whatever the Chaos Guardsman, or the Traitor Guardsman character, whatever his name is, he gives you reroll leadership. So there's ways to, like, not take that much damage. Also, too, Traitor Guardsmen get the battle line keyword, so that's pretty slick there. You can bring 6 of them instead of only 3. I do think they would probably be a state if you're like going all out Chaos Cult and like you're gonna make them your main detachment because you're a wild man, you're awesome and way cooler than I'll ever be. You'd probably want to bring 6 Traitor Guardsmen, and they're not sold out everywhere. At least when I looked like 2 days ago, I wouldn't be surprised if they do sell out like really soon. All right, for the first enhancement, we got Cultist Brand, Dark Apostle or Damned model only. If every other model in the Bearer's unit, excluding the Dark Disciples, is damned, you can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for the Bearer's unit. So for 20 points, that's pretty spendy. I believe, too, Dark Commune just gives you that as an ability, doesn't it? I guess we'll see in a little bit. But 20 points is quite a bit. That said, it still has some value. Advance and charge on your Felgor, like, that'd be okay. Accursed Cultists could still make use of it. And then a Dark Apostle, yeah. I like Dark Apostles, by the way. Not just in this detachment. I think Apostles, they might see a resurgence. Depends on the points values, not only for them, but other characters. But +1 to wound is like a big deal. I was surprised we didn't really see them that much. They do struggle into transports, so that's a big issue, because technically it's a 3-model unit. So you attach it to a 10 model, you got 13 models, you can't bring undersized units in 10th, to my understanding, so I digress. Next up, we got Amulet of Tainted Vigor. So this is also 20 points. I don't know why these are so expensive for Chaos Cult, but regardless, 20 points. Dark Apostle only. In your command phase, you can return up to D3 destroyed damned models to the Bearer's unit. So this one is actually, this is the best one. Reason being, you put on a Accursed Cultist, you bring back D3 Torments every single turn. So you bring back your D3, 3 wound, I believe they're T5, blah, blah, blah. You get to bring back D3 of them each command phase. That's actually pretty powerful right there. Like, sure, they're cheap and whatever, but you just bring back, like, one of them. That basically pays for this relic. So I do think if you're attaching a Dark Apostle to Dark Commune, I think it's an auto-include at that point. Next up, we got Incendiary Goad. So this one's only 15 points. Dark Apostle or Damned model only. While the Bearer's unit is below starting strength, add 1 to their strength characteristic of melee weapons. And if they're below half strength, add 1 to the attack characteristic as well. So this keys off of their Desperate Pacts. I actually kind of like it. So if you are doing a cult, accursed cultist, if you are bringing them, maybe get lucky and just roll a 1 on the number of mortal wounds. You would just kill off one of the, what are they called, mutants. And bada bing, bada boom, you got +1 strength all of a sudden. So they go up to strength 6, I do believe, for the Torments. Being below half strength, you know, it's a consolation prize for getting your butt kicked, I suppose. Don't forget, too, that Dark Communes, they're a 5-model unit as well. So, like, you're getting some value there if you do get the +1 attacks and then, obviously, +1 strength. I don't think that's bad at all. If I had the points left over, I would definitely look at that one. And again, this is the fluffy detachment, so I'm probably bringing every single one of these. I might skip Cultist Brand, and we'll see what the last one is. No, last one's really good. But yeah, I'm going to stuff in as much fun stuff as I can, so what am I saying? Anyways, Warped Foresight, Dark Apostle or Damned model only. The Bearer has the Scout's 6-inch ability. So, if you notice, it only says the Bearer. So it doesn't confer it to the unit. That said, Accursed Cultists got changed, so they do have Scouts. So essentially what this does is let you attach a character to your Accursed Cultist, and now they can still Scouts. Because otherwise, if you attach a character to them and you don't use this enhancement, you lose your Scouts, because every model in the unit has to have it. How many points was it again? It was 10 points. That's an auto-include every single time. 1000% you're bringing a Accursed Cultist, so like, because they're the best unit in this detachment, debatably. I mean, maybe Possessed are better, I don't know, but either way, I like these. They're not like ultra strong, they're not ultra powerful or anything, but they're nice and fun. After I do this video, I'm probably going to come back and read a bunch of the fluff and stuff. By the way, I don't think I posted it yet, but after this video, I'll post the links to all the photos in case you guys want to like save it on your end. Let's see, I believe we got some comments, let's see. So Eddie Isaac said, I managed to get my hands on like a custom Khorne Vindicator, so I'm excited for the Vashtorr detachment. Plus, this gives me a reason to buy his amazing model. Amen, dude. Yeah, I bought Vashtorr a while ago. Ooh, I wonder if he's sold out now, like on eBay and stuff. I wonder if he's sold out. I bet he is. And if he isn't, truthfully, guys, so long as you got the money for it or whatever, you guys should probably go out and get Vashtorr. If you plan on playing him, you guys should probably go out and get him before he's, like, gone for a long time. GW is so terrible at stocking their stuff. I bet it's on purpose, truthfully. You know, drives up the rarity or whatever. But anyways, alright. For their stratagems, so Chosen for Glory, it is a battle tactic. In your shooting phase or fight phase, you can choose one damned unit that hasn't shot or fought. Your unit can make a Desperate Pact. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. And if you did not fail the resulting leadership test, you can reroll the wound roll as well. So that is like ultra money right there. That's obviously the one you're going to use all the time. If you do have a Dark Apostle attached, like I mentioned earlier, they're leadership 5, so your odds of failing that leadership are like incredibly slim. Accursed Cultists, a big fat squad of them, so 16 models there, I believe it is, and then you toss on the 5, so 21 models, rerolling all the hits, all the wounds. There's other ways to buff them. Maybe you got the Incendiary Goad, so they're up to strength 6, like blah 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 blah. Yeah, that is definitely one you're going to be using like every single turn that you're able to. Next up, you got Crazed Focus. Sounds very Chaos Cultists-y. In your shooting phase, one damned unit that hasn't been selected to shoot yet, your unit can make a Desperate Pact. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, improve the armor pin by 1. I'm clapping, that's really good. And if you didn't fail the resulting leadership, while making the Desperate Pact, improve the strength characteristic by 1 as well. Again, you got a Dark Apostle attached to 20 cultists, 23 models right there. It's not the best shooting, and it is shooting only. It boosts them up a little bit. Basically gives them, like, decent bolters. AP 1, Strength 4 bolters. But they do really need it. Oh, shit. I forgot, though. GW hates Chaos, and they got rid of all of our cool loadouts. So never mind. This is actually a trash stratagem. All you have is pistols. Yeah, I take back what I said. That's trash. Anyways. This is a fun detachment, so who cares if it's trash? You shoot them with your AP1 pistols. Alright, Selfless Demise. In the fight phase, just after an enemy unit selects its targets, one damned unit from your army that was selected as the target, until the end of the phase, after the attacking unit has resolved all of its attacks, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, roll a d6. On a 6, the attacking unit takes 1 mortal wound. I wish they had done, like, take a Desperate Pact, and if you pass on a 5 up, they take a mortal wound, but regardless, this is still okay. And just okay. Just okay. You would need a big fat squad, so you do regular cultist with the Dark Commune, so 25 models. They all get wiped. That would be, what, 4 mortal wounds on average? So, like, yeah, you know. But there will be times when you roll hot and maybe you'll spike and do, like, 5 mortal wounds. And better yet, where it really is, like, spicy, maybe you're fighting a Dreadnought of some sort and he's down to 1 wound. Then most definitely you would slam that down and pray to the Dark Gods that, yeah, you roll a 6 eventually. Next up, we got Reckless Haste. In your charge phase, one damned unit from your army, they are eligible to advance and charge. So obviously that's giant on Accursed Cultists. Felgor Beastmen will also love it. Traitor Guardsmen won't necessarily love it, but hey, maybe it's like a vital charge or something. Maybe, and actually, with the Traitor Guardsmen, so they got 2 objective control, which is, like, low-key, super strong. Maybe it's turn 5, or I don't know, it's a key turn or whatever. Sure, they're not going to kill anything, but maybe you can pile in, you make it so they'll only be able to get an engagement range of, like, 1 or 2 of the models off to the corner or whatever, and you flip an objective to you. So regardless, there's definitely use to it. Advance and charge is powerful, like, everywhere you see it. Even on Cultists. Next up, we got Infernal Sacrifice. So in the fight phase, one damned unit from your army that has not been selected to fight yet, you can make a Desperate Pact. If you do, you suffer D3 mortal wounds, no matter what happens. And this is in addition to any if you fail your leadership test. So don't fail the test, guys. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attacks, and if you pass the test, you add 1 to the strength as well. So this is sort of like, this is like Incendiary Goad, but flipped around. I actually like that one, and I do think it's one that you use a lot, Accursed Cultists especially. So it sucks you automatically take D3 mortal wounds, but if you only take 1 or 2 mortal wounds, you can just put on a Torment, so that's not the worst thing ever. Suddenly, if you pass it, you're gonna have Strength 7 Torments, Strength 8 Dark Apostle, assuming you brought an Apostle and not the Commune, and then Strength, I think it's Strength 6, yeah, Strength 6 Mutants, And then +1 attack, if you had a maxed out squad, I did the math, I believe on average it's 72 attacks. So that's where it gets nutty. I think it's actually like a keystone stratagem of this detachment. This is one you like need and have to take advantage of. It is a battle tactic for what that's worth. It's not like you have Chaos Lords detachment, but either way, it's a battle tactic. Yeah, I think this is the best one in the detachment and the one that you'll be using as much as you possibly can. Finally, we got Mortal Thralls. So your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit selects its target. Oh, I like this one a lot. One Heretic Astartes unit from your army. So it can be any unit, not just cultists. So hey, Lord Discordant can take advantage of this. One Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more, and one friendly damned unit that's within 3 inches of the unit and visible to both your unit and the attacking unit. I like this one a lot, by the way. Until the end of the phase, while your damned unit is on the battlefield, each time your opponent would make a wound roll for an attack that targets your Heretic Astartes unit, your damned unit is visible. Wait, it's hard to read, so I apologize for the low resolution. Oh, if your damned unit is visible to the attacking model and is an eligible model target for the attack, no roll is made. Instead, your damned unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic. So, Goonhammer explained it pretty well. You got a Vindicator. You want to keep them alive. You got 20 cultists like right next to them because you're cool like that. They're going to shoot your Vindicator. They make all their hits. You would play the Strategem. For each hit, they don't do a wound roll. It just automatically wounds. And then hope it's not las cannons because then it would suck. Because then they roll their las cannon. Maybe they get 5 damage. Boom, it kills 5 cultists. That said, if you have a keystone, so it's any model, so truthfully what you'd probably use it on, Lord Disco, but like Khorne Lord of Skulls would love it. How fluffy would that be too? Khorne Lord of Skull just sucking up little cultists as this little, like, I don't know, blood surge, I'll call it. I actually really like that a lot. Very fluffy, very fun, ultra fun. Imagine how many, like, you'll have good laughs with your, like, buddy with a stratagem like that. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this detachment. It's garbage, it's junk, it's terrible, it's not competitive in the least bit. The Accursed Cultists, I'm pretty positive, Dark Commune, I'm pretty sure already gives you Advance and Charge, so some of the stratagems and the enhancements, like, don't really key off that so well. I guess will work for Dark Apostle. But I don't care one bit, man. I'm playing this army. Like, you best believe I'm going to put it together. When I play on TTS, I like to do casual a fair amount of times. Dude, it's so funny on TTS. You try to do a casual game, people never bring casual lists, and you'll play, like, the most pro, like, anal player ever in the casual chat. Yeah, it's hilarious. Whereas I try not to be a dick, and when I do the casual, I bring casual lists. So this would be perfect for Tabletop Simulator, as an example. Like I said, I don't care one bit it's bad. I'm running it. It's going to be super fun. I have like 50 cultists on my shelf behind me, and man, I need more Cursed Cultists. Damn it! But I have 2 squads of them technically, but obviously you want to run max squads of them. Let's see. So Francis Kane says, "Dang it, my chat is weird." Let me. Get them shields. Yeah, it's hard to read. I'm sorry, I can't read it, so I apologize. All right, regardless, so that's all the detachments. So GW knocked it out of the fucking park with this. GW did fantastic with every single one of these. None of these are a stinker. So okay, you know, Night Lords, whatever. And like Fired O was saying, there's definitely ways that you can bring them up a bit. And I'll say it again. I've said it a few times. Expect they're gonna win a GT, maybe they'll even win a major. Like, people can make them work. You gotta remember too, you're building off the baseline CSM, so you got the lethals and the sustains, the excellent like data sheets that we have, so still got some value there. But regardless, every single detachment is at the very least incredibly fun and fluffy. And beyond that, many of them are incredibly powerful, extremely competitive. I do think they're going to take the tournament scene by storm. I think people are going to be like, they're going to be tailoring to help take out, they got to deal with Orks, and they got to deal with us now. Yeah, dude, I am so happy. GW, I am so happy. Everybody, after what they did to Custodes and like AdMech, in the beginning, the Index for Death Guard, how it originally came out, like, you know, you kind of get worried about the books when they're coming out. But whichever group they got right in the Chaos stuff, please, first of all, please God, write all the Chaos Codexes. Don't let the other team do it. Don't let the Imperial team do it, please. And second of all, like, you guys deserve a raise. Congratulations. This is, it's great in every way, shape, and form. As for which I think are the strongest, I think Renegade Raiders, so the Red Corsairs, probably the strongest one. I do think, I think Vashtorr, it's debatable if Vashtorr's stronger. Then maybe they're tied for first. Otherwise, Soulforged Warpack is like right behind the Raiders. I do think Veterans of the Long War is fairly competitive. I think they're competitive. Not the strongest, but they're competitive. Deceptors, debatably, might be the strongest. I originally I thought they were, but as I've had more time to like comprehend and process like on the whole codex so far, I think they're still way up there. They're like third best. I would think third, maybe fourth. Potentially. We'll see, man. That's what's so great. We're gonna find out in like, it'll take like a month or two for people to really iron out all the kinks in this stuff. Who knows? Maybe the ultra, plop 112 insano models right in front of your opponent's face. Maybe that's the way to do it. I guess time will tell. What other ones we got? Pactbound, still incredibly strong. I think they're going to be competitive as well. I think you're still, RTTs and stuff. I think you're going to see these guys like still a decent amount. I like them all, every single one. Felhammer, I really like the Felhammer. People are debating if it's good or not. I do think they're really good, and they also could be tied for like third place. I'd be curious to your guys' opinion, so feel free to pitch in at all. You don't have to do it in the chat. You can leave a comment later, or anybody watching this video at a later time. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. Am I wrong on something? Maybe Renegade Raiders are actually terrible. Like, everybody's an idiot. Plus 1 AP is like terrible. Obviously, that's a joke. Like, but I'd be very curious to your guys' opinions. Let's see. Fired O is saying, while I'm going to be forgiving in that the Custodes Codex was probably made before Mortals and Dev Wounds were separated, only four detachments with debatably okay rules is terrible. Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I'm assuming they wrote it. They probably wrote that book or were writing it like at the peak of Custodes' terror. And I'm gonna be really honest with you. So I genuinely, like sincerely, heartfelt feel bad for Custodes players. First of all, I don't think it's as bad as they think. Like, it's terrible. But I think the army is still competitive. I don't think it's gonna be like the worst army. I think it's gonna be right below mid-tier. So lower mid-tier. I guess time will tell. But what I feel bad about is people were so pissed off. So Custodes, they were OP, man. They were OP. They just made it so that melee armies just couldn't function. I didn't want to bring melee armies to tournaments. I knew I was gonna fight Custodes, and I knew that it was gonna like make me want to cry or whatever. Not fun at all. So what I'm getting at, people are like gloating about it. Like, I joke about it all the time, but that's just my sense of humor. People like don't care that they got stomped. People are like happy that they got stomped. So I feel bad about that. That's what's bad about writing an OP book or having OP rules. When they finally get, taken down a notch or whatever, people like have no sympathy for you. So heartfelt apologies to Custodes, but they desperately needed nerfs. They didn't need that many nerfs, but they desperately needed nerfs. Honestly, they just needed to lose the fight first. That was like the huge thing with it. And then some of the resiliency. I'm actually okay that they lost like all the resiliency, like strats and buffs and stuff. They just didn't really get anything to make up for it is all. But anyways, that's a side topic. All right, so we're on the data sheets. So first of all, unfortunately, we mentioned in the very beginning, but Exalted Champion is gone. Womp womp. And Noise Marines and Lucius have been moved over to Emperor's Children, which is actually awesome. Awesome. As much as I would love Lucius, because he was fantastic, first of all, his model needs a refresh. That'll be fantastic when we see that. And second of all, I've been wanting to play Noise Marines for like many years, as long as I remember. So when they come out, 100 million%, I'm going to be buying that book. And you guys best believe, when they release the index, I believe it's like 2 weeks from now or a week from now, something like that. When they release the index, 100% we'll go over it. Maybe I'll do another live stream, so hopefully you guys can join me. But, so again, we lost Exalted Champ, we lost Noise Marines, we lost Lucius. I'm going to say, too, a fair amount of datasheets actually got nerfed. There weren't any giant nerfs off the top of my head. Maybe we'll stumble across one in a minute. There weren't any giant ones, but there was a decent amount of nerfs. And I'm going to point out each one as we go through. I will also say, so this is only data sheets that, well, it's all the characters, just because it's always good to remind ourselves on characters. And then otherwise, it's only data sheets that change. So if you've never played CSM before, look up my original index review. Most of that stuff's still going to be valid. Or, just like Google it or whatever. But just want to point it out, that's mostly going to be just data sheets that change. And again, a lot of them got nerfed, guys. So, one of them that did kind of get nerfed, I mean, he did get nerfed, Abaddon the Despoiler. So, this guy was a staple. Everybody has their own playstyle. I have never been a huge Abaddon fan. Like, lore-wise, I've worshipped the guy. I think he's fantastic lore-wise. But game-wise, I'm always so confused that people, like, still stick to the castle. I mean, I'm not that confused. It's obviously very powerful. But it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of boring to just see it 24/7. You wouldn't like catch me dead with an Abaddon Castle build unless I was at like a major, like that was on like the local news or something. You wouldn't catch me dead with that. So that's one thing I'm incredibly pleased about with all these. Hey, it's not just Abaddon Castle 24/7. But I digress. So he got pseudo nerfed, or he did get nerfed. He's now only Chaos Undivided. He used to have every word. So if you were to put him in the Pactbound Zealots, he would have like popped off. He would have had exploding 5-up any and everything. That said, it's not that big a nerf, because first of all, the 5-up any and everything only affects Pactbound Zealots. So if you're running any other detachment, it's a non-issue. And second of all, it fits the fluff. He's freaking the leader of the Chaos Undivided, essentially. Like, yeah, I know he's, like, technically blessed by every god, but it's fine with me, because every god, you know, that's literally the definition of undivided, so it's not the worst ever. The other change he had, which was sort of a nerf, each time you make a Dark Pact and do not fail the leadership, if the result of the test was a 7-up, you gain 1 command point. If you are desperate for command points, you can put him with Legionaries. Wait, actually, that's right, he can't. Okay, so that was a different change. He can't join Legionaries anymore, so take back what I said. Actually, Chosen can have the icon, though. So you would be able to re-roll those, and Chosen's going to be the way to go. Terminators are too expensive. But yeah, he can finally be attached to Chosen. We were all sad about that with the Index. Like, oh, you know, it doesn't make sense to go with the Legionaries. Of course you go with the Chosen. You go with the best of the best. Like, what's going on here? So that's pretty good there. But again, he got some minor nerfs. Otherwise, he's still a beast. 2-up save, T5, 9 wounds, 4-up invul. He murderized, like absolutely stomps stuff in melee and the sort, because he's gonna be rerolling all the hits, almost always. And he can give infantry and mounted a 4-up invul. So you'll still see Abaddon a lot. People want to run him regardless as well, just because he's fun. And he's relatively small, but he's a great centerpiece for the army. He's kind of small, but he definitely stands out. Let's see. We got a few people posting it. So Eddie Isaac says, so it's about Custodes, I believe. Said, I think the nerf I'm most sad about is the, oh, nope, he's talking about this, is the Possessed getting dev wounds once a turn. I used to Dark Pact and Shooting Phase with Master Possession, and use the Anti-Psyker. Yeah, dude, so all that stuff you're saying, I agree with you like tenfold. We're about to get to him. Master Possession got nerfed terribly, which really hurts, because that was something I used to run all the time. Master Possession with Possessed. They were little anti-character snipers. Anti-Psyker is a perfect example, too. Going into demons, fighting like greater demons, they're like almost all Psychers. You would win them on 2-ups with your Master Possession. He still has that part of the stuff, but it's just like now you don't, now you can't get the dead wounds with it, because you'd be ultra wasting it for a single model shooting, and he doesn't get the feel no pain. Yeah, we're going to get to them in a second, but yeah, I agree with you. But that one does hurt me the most as well. I still think Possessed are usable. I'll save my my rant for when we get to them, actually. Ooh, alright, so, here, I gotta look here real quick, because I wrote down notes. Okay, now I'm to my notes got mixed up. Alright, so, Vashtorr got a few buffs, and Vashtorr's looking pretty good. People were joking that he might not be good in his own detachment. I disagree. Reason being, he still has his Unholy Mechanisms aura. While a friendly demon engine is within 6 inches, add 1 to the strength characteristic of weapons. It's both range and melee, so that's fantastic. But like I mentioned earlier, you get +1 to wound with the detachment ability. You put Forge Fiends up to strength 11, boom, wound most vehicles on a 2-up. Defilers wound most stuff, well, it's range only with the +1 wound, but either way, the +1 strength is actually a pretty big deal. They also changed his other ability, and I like this one way more. It's really fun, too, which I always applaud fun rules over stupid ones. You know, crazy idea here. Reorder reality. Each time any enemy unit within 18 inches of this model, doesn't have to be visible or nothing like that, targets this model until the end of the phase. That enemy's ranged weapons have the hazardous ability. So what's cool, it's not only weapons that target him, that's not going to come up at all, but if somebody, like, split fire for some weird reason, they would still have hazardous, even if, like, 3/4 of their stuff went into something else. It's any unit, so it can affect multiple units. You don't have to be visible to them. I think this is, like, low-key a big deal. If somebody has a blob, if I had a 20 blob Athena cultist, no, I'm not, you know, I'm going to be very wary of not that I ever shoot them at Vashtorr as it is, although I could lethals on them, so, you know, maybe it's not that bad, actually. But it's very burpy today. I think it's very strong, and again, it's fun. His other buffs too, so his melee got really buffed. His melee is now strength 14. I believe it was strength 10 before. I believe it was only AP 1 before as well. So strength 14, AP 2, 3 damage with anti-vehicle 4-up and dev wounds. Hits on 2s. This guy's gonna be I was gonna say he's not a demon vehicle. So unfortunately, he's not going to benefit from his own detachment rule, although in melee he won't either. But regardless, the dev wounds, anti-vehicle 4-up, he's still going to blend vehicles really well, and even like elite infantry and stuff he'll blend. His sweep is okay. It does still have anti-vehicle 4-up, so maybe that'll come up at some point. I wish it had some AP, though. That's the only issue I have is the no AP, even just AP 1. You know what else breaks my little heart? They didn't name his Flamer, and they didn't name his Hammer. Vashtor's Hammer, GW, come on, you got one job here. Just give us fluffy, cool names. Vashtor's Hammer is like, come on, dude. Anyways, he also gained a toughness, so he's now T10. So what I'm getting at, points pending. I'm just assuming he'll stay around his current, I believe he's 190 currently. I'm assuming he'll stay around that, in which case, yes. Also, I need an excuse to put him on the table, so even if he's 250 points, I'd still give him a shot at least. Yeah, I'm very hyped on Vashtorr. I do think he's not ultra competitive, but I think he's competitive. I don't think you'll see him all the time, but I do think you will see him, essentially. Cypher. So Cypher got some pretty fun changes. He got a lot of buffs, in fact, in a sense. So, first of all, his pistols can now be used in melee. That's a big deal. He used to have just 6 crappy 0 AP, strength 4, damage 1 attacks. Now he has 9 attacks, 3 of which are multi-damage, so he can actually hold his own in melee. Now he is, let's see, okay, now I was going to say, you can't mark him because he's an epic character, so you can't give him exploding 5s, but regardless, he does have sustained hits, so you would always do lethal hits with this guy. Try to remember that, guys. If you do a Dark Pact with him, always do lethals because he already has sustained. And then his ability got changed. It's debatable if it's for the better or not. It's probably a nerf. It's probably a nerf, but but it also has a perk to it, so it's a side grade. Agent of Discord. Each time your opponent targets any unit with a stratagem that's within 12 inches of this guy, increase the cost of that stratagem by 1. So where this is so before it used to be anytime they use a stratagem period. So he could be on the other side of the table, didn't have to be anywhere near him, and you could make their battle tactic cost 1 more. Do be aware it doesn't affect every single stratagem, it's only battle tactics. I'd assume this is the exact same. In fact, I'm like positive it's the exact same. Where this is, where it gets better, though, is it'll work on multiple battle tactics. So I don't know how often that'll come up, and the times it does, like, there's some value there. Ooh, okay, I just realized the other nerf to it, and what does suck, once Cypher dies, or once the unit moves away, it's no longer costing 1 more. So I do actually see an issue there, because before it's permanent as well. Otherwise, not much has changed with him. He's a lone op. Guns blazing isn't that good. Basically, you can shoot back and stuff that shoots your homies that are within 3 inches, but he only has 12-inch range on his pistols, so you don't want to be within range of people. I do think, points pending, we gotta see the points for him. I think you'll see him a fair amount. I do think he's competitive, works perfect for sitting on your backfield. He was starting to make a resurgence lately, too. A lot of the comp lists I was writing up recently, a lot of them brought Cypher because he'd gotten the points drop. So I think you will continue to see Cypher quite a bit more. Haarken Worldclaimer, sick model. He was also seeing a resurgence recently. The Raptor Bomb was becoming pretty common. I wasn't really sold on it. I could see the utility of it, especially the mortal wounds, but I think it's too many points on just an average unit at the time. So I'm not sold on it. However, Night Lords will love this guy. Unfortunately, it's not the fluffiest thing ever, but Night Lords will get a lot of use out of this guy. I'd assume he'll run in most of those lists. And honestly, what you do, you paint him Night Lordy and maybe change his helmet, and you give him a cool name of your own. Abdominix Nox, or, Mr. Nox, something like that. So he did get some changes, though, unfortunately. The big change is, so it used to be, anytime you finish a charge roll, select an enemy unit, and you roll a d6 for every model in your unit, each 4-up is a mortal wound. Now it's only every unit or every model within engagement range. You do you roll a dice, and on a 4-up you get a mortal wound. So it won't always come up, but a lot of the times it will come up where you're not going to get all your mortal wounds. So that does hurt a decent bit. I'm very curious what the points are going to be on this guy. If he's not too spendy, I imagine you'll still see him all the time. Otherwise, time will tell. I was hoping that some of the characters could attach to Warp Talons, but none of them can, unfortunately. So he is relegated to only quote unquote Raptors. Raptors are still fantastic though. Again, points pending. I guess time will see. He has a really good profile as well. Like Haarken, like he's a little murder machine. Got his precision. He does have a 3 damage attack with its sustained hits and lance, and sustained hits D3. I might add, as rare as that'll be. In detachments, that'll give the 5. Well, he's okay. He's forced to be undivided, but. Anyways, still good as always. Ooh, okay, Fabius Bile. I love this man. In, I believe it was 9th edition, I did Creations of Bile. That was like my jam. And they were ultra powerful. It's like unfair fighting with them. So I got a special connection with Mr. Fabius Bile. Also, his lore is fantastic. He's like one of the coolest chaos characters. Super agnostic, like does his own thing. Like yeah, he's a cool guy. Not necessarily completely evil. Like sure, he doesn't care about suffering and pain, but like he's not completely. He loves his legion. So the big change, or I think it's the only change, he can now be attached to Cultists. So this is cool. Play him in the Chaos Cult faction. I think he actually has a lot of play there. He suddenly becomes a leader, and then suddenly you just rename it like, I don't know, Bile's Chaos Cult, or Bile's hey, here we go, Creations of Bile, V2. So I do like that. Accursed Cultists, Chosen, Cultists Mob, and Legionaries. He's a great model. He's always been great. He's like underpriced. He's like way underpriced. No in-ball, but that's okay, because he has good damage output. He's got 6 3 damage attacks. He's like 85 points currently. I wonder if he stays that same. 6 3 damage attacks at 85 points. 3 2 damage anti-infantry 2-up attacks at range. He gives his bodyguard +1 strength, +1 toughness. Once per turn, when attack is located to a model in a unit, you can change the damage of that attack to 0. And then the first time he dies on a 2-up, he comes back to life with all of his wounds remain. Everything about this guy is good. I was surprised he wasn't like a tournament staple. I guess he's slow, but otherwise, yeah, I really love him. 5-up, feel no pain. This guy's he's still gonna go out and kick some butt. Let's see. Fired Oa says him with Chosen and the Felhammer could be decently tanky. Ooh, damn. Okay, that's actually a smart combo right there. Because yeah, you get the +1 strength, +1 toughness, and then obviously the Felhammer detachment. Yeah, no, and then zeroing out the damage and then bringing him back to life. I think more than like decently tanky, he'd be like ultra tanky there. Now, if only you could attach him to Terminators, how wild that would be. Alright, Chaos Lord. He didn't get much changes at all, but he did get one that makes me really sad, and it's a stupid one as well. I don't know what GW was thinking, it's like really dumb. You can replace his plasma pistol with a power fist. Why would I ever do that? He's already got a hammer. And you know what sucks too? I'm one of those weirdos who a lot of time chose the Power Fist over the Hammer, because I like hitting on 2s and dead wounds. Like, you know, you're not always guaranteed to get dead wounds. Now I can't really do that, because if I do that, I'm going to lose my Plasma Pistol. And it doesn't have extra attacks. It's just like the dumbest thing. I don't know. I hope GW FAQs that, because like, what the fuck, man? That's retarded. But regardless, hopefully people will let me like count as my Power Fist as a hammer, or I guess I'll just kit bash something together. Otherwise, he's identical. You still got the once per battle round free stratagem, even if somebody else used it. And once per battle, he super ultra buffs himself, +1 attack, strength, armor pen, and damage. Like, it gets nutso. Combine that with the dead wounds, some of the other detachments where you can like re-roll your wounds, re-roll your hits, like so much stuff to combo off of. But otherwise, yeah, it was only his loadout that changed. Kinda sucks that they did that, but whatever. Dark Commune. So I love this unit. They've always looked sick. They haven't changed one bit at all. Everything's identical. All right, let's take a look. Do they advance in charge? Yep, they do. Once per battle in your command phase, if you got your called demigod, you can use the ability until the end of the turn. This unit can declare a charge in which it advanced, and each time a model in the unit makes attack, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. So these guys are vital for the Chaos Cults. And even if you're running other armies with the Accursed Cultists, like these guys are damn fantastic. Not only do you get the extra wounds from the crappy, the whatever the swordsmen are called, I forget what they're called, commune blades, I guess. Blessed blades, there we go. You got the extra wounds from them, but then you also got, all those extra abilities. You got some multi-damage, and not a single thing not to like about Dark Commune. Hopefully they're not too expensive, but time will tell. Alright, we got Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. He didn't change like one bit, not even his loadout changed at all. Which is good. I actually like that he's still the same, especially the halves damage. That's actually very powerful. Felhammer, some of the other detachments can definitely make use out of that. Chaos Lord with jump pack. So this is the new one. Now, don't think that you have to go out and get that new model unless you're like me and you're like a psycho and you collect all the models or whatever. But don't forget, you just kit bash them, man. I made a Raptors kit like last week or whatever, and I made sure to set one aside and converted him. I kit bashed him as my Chaos Lord. You can do that plenty of times over. Literally all they need is a jump pack. And here's a like kit bashing tip for you. You can also just put wings on. That's what I used to do in 9th. I had, and I still have them. I had the old Possessed kit, and the old Possessed kit came with little wings. Just throw it on a Legionary body, bada bing, bada boom, you got a flying Chaos Lord. And nobody ever once said anything bad about it. So, this guy, I think he's actually, I wish he could be attached to Warp Talons, but regardless, I think he's pretty good. So he does have the Lord of Chaos, so he still gets the free Strategem, so that's fantastic. Free Strategem, and you can use it even if somebody else did. Do always remember, only works with battle tactics, but there's a few detachments with really good battle tactics. And then Cruel Hunter, I really like. While he's leading the unit, so he does have to be leading something, he can't just do it on his own. Each time the unit piles in or consolidates, you can move 6 inches instead of 3. Piling in 6 inches is huge. Like, man, that's giant. Especially you got models with flies, so you move over the enemy and stuff. Like, that like pretty much guarantees that you can get all your Raptors in there. Raptors, they're not the best in melee, unfortunately. Well, you know, actually, I take that back. They're okay in melee, and they're okay at shooting. They're just not great at either of them. That said, you add an additional 5 2-damage attacks on top of there. Like, gets pretty spicy, He does have a 4-up invul, 5 wounds as well, not just 4 wounds like a lot of characters have. Yeah, I think he'll be a staple. I think you'll see him a lot. Raptors with 4 Melta guns, still looking good. Man, I was so worried with the Raptors that you know, GW changes all the kit or all the data sheets, so it's only what comes in the box. Raptors only come with a single Melta gun in their box, but thank God they didn't change it. You can still have 2 per 5, and that is a big deal. Big deal. Alright, we got duplicate. Alright, Huron. Somebody asked in the beginning of the stream if Huron was still here. Yes, he is. He will key perfectly with the Deceptors detachment. Being able to reposition your little infiltrators, pretty damn good there. Otherwise, I don't believe he's changed at all. Sorcerer hasn't changed at all. I wonder, I mentioned it with, who did I mention it with? Well, one of the other characters I mentioned it. Oh, Dark Apostle. I think we're going to start seeing some of these lesser seen characters more often. Sorcerer is good, man. Sorcerer's always been good. He's really freaking cheap as well. 60 points is what he was, and you subtract 1 from the hit roll, both melee and range. That's really powerful. Again, into Orks or something, that like adds up quite a bit. So I'm tempted to start running Sorcerers, Dark Apostles, that sort of stuff. +1 to wound and melee with Dark Apostles, like money, like, yeah, anyways. Huron's still fantastic. He's always been good. Didn't see him in that many competitive lists, but there were a few out there, and yeah, they kicked some butt. They did really good. Sorcerer and Terminator armor, he didn't change whatsoever either, I don't believe. Still has his very powerful and very valuable Death Hex. You can give the rest of your army +1 AP versus a target of your choosing. Still ultra strong. You can reroll advanced and charge rolls for the units. That'll come in handy with some of the other detachments out there if you end up bringing Terminators. Lots of things to like about the Sorcerer. Lord Discordant. Look at how sick that model is. I know it's like fuzzy, but man, how beautiful that model is. But how sad those keywords are. Literally, if they just made it a vehicle, like that would have been that alone would have brought him up to like A tier in my eyes. But like I said, I'm still gonna bring him. I feel like he had a small change. I feel like so Corrupt Machine Spirit. Once per turn at the start of your opponent's shooting phase, you select a vehicle within 12 and invisible. They must take a leadership. If the test is passed, until the end of the phase, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. If the test is failed, they are not eligible to shoot. So hey, Fired Oa, this guy might be really good in Night Lords. With that, versus vehicles at least. That might be money, dude. Imagine how, like, scared your opponent's gonna be that you make him fail that leadership and he can't shoot at all with his big spendy, like, 320 point, 450 point, 520 point, whatever the hell model it is. I think, man, take a look at Lord Discord, like, legitimately, that might actually be a good combo right there. His other one, Spirit Thief, man, it's funny, so nobody's played Lord Disco, like, all 10, so I'm, like, forgetting his abilities. I bet these are the same ones, but Spirit Thief, at the start of your shooting phase, select an enemy vehicle within 12 inch. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Heretic Astartes makes an attack that targets that unit, reroll a wound roll of 1. You know, neither of those abilities are terrible. It all depends on what his price is going to be. Please God, GW. Maybe they're like, oh, we didn't change the rules because we priced them at like 110 points because we're awesome like that. So everybody, you know, pray to the Chaos Gods with me that he does get some love in that regard at least. Otherwise, he's like, you know, he's okay in melee. He's all right in shooting. I do think, I feel like the Magma Cutter is actually the way to go. You get 2 -4 AP D6 damage shots versus single 2 damage attack. So, yeah, I would do Magma Cutter every single time. For the main weapon, probably still stick with the Flamer, but an autocannon is also fair. You got really good range on that, but either are valid. Master of Possession, womp womp. He got a big nerf. Yeah, he got a really bad nerf. He used to give a 6-up Feel No Pain to the unit he was with, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but honestly it is. With 3 wound models, you bring a Bomb of Possessed, were a perfect example, or Bomb of Chosen. That 6-up Feel No Pain, and countless times that came in clutch on keeping models alive. So, really sad that's gone. Otherwise, I believe he's the same. So, while he lost that buff, lost the Feel No Pain, which is a big deal, I do think he's still viable. So if you're bringing Possessed, if you're a Possessed fanatic like I am, the big thing is that he brings that pistol. So a pistol is huge. Pistol means you can still do actions even though you're melee. That's actually a kind of big deal. It's I like to sneak in pistols. If units can like maybe they can trade 1 chainsword for a pistol. Often, not always, but often I'll do it just so I can do that sort of stuff. So there is value there. He's also still a little sniper. This guy will murderize characters, like small characters. So 4 wound, and if they don't have an invul, like they're dead. Because he's gonna hit, he can still stab his homie, still give +1 to his hit and wound roll. So like a GSC character, a Genestealer Cult character, they're just gone. If they come anywhere within 18 inches of this guy, they're gone. Because he has precision, he's gonna be hitting on 2s, wound on 2s, AP 3 damage. This guy's nutso at killing characters. Honestly, I thought he was one of the best snipers in the game, truthfully. He's like way up there just with his lethality. But regardless, this is all gonna depend on his points. I hope they drop his points because they got rid of that Feel No Pain. He does get +1 to advance and charge. Do be wary, he only has 8-inch moves, so with like Possessed, he kind of holds him back without getting that Feel No Pain. He's kind of subtracting 1 inch from the move. That said, it's not the worst. You can put him in the back of the pack, and you know it's not the worst thing. And by the way, here's how you deploy him. You put him in the front when you deploy. Remember that models can move through each other, so on your first movement, you don't really lose any movement at all. You just swap them with another model, and then turn 2, you're just like an inch behind, and yeah, so it's not that bad. But anyways. Yeah. How the mighty have somewhat fallen. That 6-up Feel No Pain was big. Ooh, okay, Eddie, I like that question. That's an interesting question. At what price would I consider bringing a Disco Lord? So let's take a look here. 10-inch move, so relatively fast. T9, so relatively survivable. 2-up, only a 5-up invul. I thought he had a 4-up, so that kind of stinks right there. But 2-up save is good. 10 wounds, 6 leadership. I wish he was 5. 4 OC is valuable. I think 140 would be fair. I think 140 would be a fair price. Like 130 would be like a good price. Anything over like 150, I probably skip them. Probably. Time will tell. We got to see the rest of the points and all that stuff. But I would think 140 would be like a fair price. What do you guys think? I would think around 140 probably is good. Maybe, 120 would be great. Master Executions, he didn't change like at all. I will say though, his command point regeneration does gain some value. It's only if you destroy an enemy character model, but anything that gives us more command points, like Daddy Likey, he was always strong as well. Like you saw him in a lot of lists for good reason, getting the reroll hits and eventually reroll wounds. Like come on, what's not like precision, dev wounds, 2 damage axe, like also great. Everything about the MOE still the same. Demon Prince and on foot and Demon Prince with wings, neither of them changed at all. They're both identical. I just finished painting mine, the new version. So mine basically looks like this. I did the claw because I'm a little win at all cost guy. I didn't want my sword peeking out around corners and stuff. But otherwise, he's identical. We'll see what the points are. He dropped down to 165 with the last data slate, so I'd assume he's going to stay around that. He's viable. He's viable at 165. Yeah, he's okay. You can get him up to strength 10 or T11, all that sort of stuff. So I do like it there. Ah, man, that's right. I was really hoping they'd fix his aura. His aura is a 6-inch, only infantry. Basically, you get the benefit of cover. That's practically a non-ability, because cover is incredibly easy to get. So I was hoping they'd fix that up, but beggars can't be choosers. Like I said, winged version didn't change. Warpsmith, his melee profile changed, which actually I'm okay with. Because I built the kit, and I built it with the axe. I didn't build it with the hammer, so I was always sad, because the hammer was better. Now they sort of can smash them together. People will say it's a nerf, and honestly it kind of is. But yeah, now it's an anti-vehicle 4-up. Hits on 3s, strength 6, -2, 2 damage each, only 4 attacks. So he'll do okay. He'll plink a couple wounds off a vehicle, or kill a marine or 2, so not too bad there. Otherwise, he's identical. Obviously, he's a must-include in the Soulforged War Pack, the Vashtorr's detachment. You bring at least one, more likely you bring 3 of them. Getting +1 to hit, healing stuff. He has lone ops if he's near his vehicles. He can also cause, for Night Lords, that's right. At the end of the movement phase, like the enemy vehicle within 12-inch, that unit must take a battle shock, so he could play into Night Lords as well. There's a few little clever things that come up with the Warpsmith, but mostly the same. I mentioned it, so Dark Apostle hasn't changed whatsoever, but I mentioned it earlier. I feel like, maybe, possibly, he might see more play, especially if he's pointed, like, cheaply. I think people might start looking at him again. He gives any unit he's attached to, which is Accursed Cultists, Chosen, Cultists Mob, and Legionaries. He gives them +1 to wound and melee. That's actually a pretty big deal. He can un-battle shock one of his friendly units. So start of the phase, you can make it so they're not battle shocked anymore. And then he can have his little guys sacrifice themselves to do mortal wounds potentially. Truthfully, you would almost never do that. I'd rather have extra wounds to get plinked off than do that. He was actually, I think he's 75 points. And it's him and 2 little helpers, 2 little Dark Disciples. So he was a 6 wound model for 75 points. Yeah, I thought that was valid. Okay, damage output. Yeah, so maybe we'll still see him. Time will tell. Fired Oa is saying CSM have some of the best designs. Amen, they do. Like, yeah, almost everyone. I'm trying to think, Chaos Spawn look like it's a cool design, but Chaos Spawn don't look that good. There's a few of them that are still goofy, but all the new kits, that's like the reason I play CSM. Traitor Enforcer, so his big change is he can now, you get a free Overwatch once per, yeah, it's once per turn, you get a free Overwatch for free, and you can do so even if somebody else had already done it. I like it quite a bit. It does say each time you use this ability, 1 bodyguard model in that unit is destroyed. Hey, that's the price of chaos, man. I think he like flew under the radar. So, and the reason I say that, mutated bodyguard. So while this unit contains a Traitor Ogren, character models get a 4-up, feel no pain. 4-up is essentially double the wounds. This guy, I forget off the top of my head how many points he was. I want to say he's like 70 points, maybe even cheaper, maybe just like 60 points or something. But they have 7 wounds, basically becomes 14 wounds with a 5-up feel no pain on the Enforcer, or excuse me, 5-up in-ball on the Enforcer at least. That's a boatload of wounds. Some of them T6, although you have to do whatever the majority of the unit is. That's a boatload of wounds for that price, so maybe, I don't know. For sure, if you're doing the Chaos Cult detachment, for sure, you'll want to bring this guy. Cultist Firebrand, ooh, we got a new one. He's sort of our consolation for them screwing over the Cultist Mob, which is lame. It's funny, they even used one of the models from the Blackstone Fortress kit that came with all the cool stuff that people always brought. But regardless, so Cultist Firebrand, what does he do? First of all, he is like the toughest cultist I've ever seen. He basically has a Marine's profile. 6-inch move, T4, 4-up save, 4 wounds, 6-up leadership. So that's basically like a Chaos Space Marine's profile. So this guy got swole from the Chaos Gods. He has an OK Flamer. So ignores cover, torrent, 12-inch range, D6 +3, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. So OK Flamer, not the greatest thing ever. I was kind of hoping to be 2 damage, but you know, that'd be pretty strong for cultists. No, he's terrible in close combat. For his abilities, so while this model is leading a unit, you can reroll leadership tests for that unit. So that's a big deal with the Chaos Cult. Now you won't take as many mortal wounds. And then Cursed Plains? Oh, Cursed Flames. I bet that's what it says. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select 1 infantry unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. That unit must take a battle shock. Hey, this guy will play in the Night Lords as well. So not at all bad. I'm waiting with bated breath to see how many points he is. If he's like You know, if we get lucky and he's like 35 points or something, hell yeah, man, I'll run him then. But otherwise, unless I'm doing the Chaos Cult detachment, I'm probably not going to include the guy. Having a Flamer is cool, sort of makes up for the Cultist Mob losing everything else, but whatever. Chaos Mob, so they lost any and every weapon profile aside from their base ones, which is auto pistols and the brutal assault weapons. They didn't even give us the freaking rifles, which was the version that I preferred. I'd much rather have 24-inch range than this 12-inch range crap. So, very sad they did that. Otherwise, though, I can't really complain because cultists are amazing. 50 points, I'm assuming they'll say the same. 50 points for little screening chaff that's sticky objectives. They do like all sorts of stuff. They score, they screen, they do secondaries, like you name it, they can do it. So definitely still a staple. Still, you'll bring at least one in any and every list ever. I don't think I've ever written a list this edition that didn't bring at least one cultist mob. Chaos Spikers, they got, and then some people say it's a side grade, I'd say it's a nerf. So they used to, if you're within 6 inches of the table edge, non-engagement, you go back into strategic reserves. That was very powerful, especially for, scoring, obviously. Now what they get, though, is Rapid Assault. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if it had charged that turn, improve the strength by 1. So that's okay. You can get Strength 6 Accursed Weapon, or better yet, Strength 9 Power Fist. Not that that strength would matter that much, but Strength 5 Chain Swords, like, okay, that will actually, like, have some value. Into Marines, most definitely. Any T4 profile, like, that does have some pretty damn good value there. There's plenty of ways to give them +1 AP, all sorts of way to boost them, but yeah, I would have preferred to keep the going back into strat reserves. That said, they're fast as fuck, they're mounted, they'll work well in the Red Corsairs detachment, so don't be surprised if you still see them. I'm also hoping that at some point this edition, probably next edition, I'm hoping they get a re-release of their kit, because for sure, their kit's very old. I'll admit, it's aged fairly gracefully. It's not the worst looking kit ever. That thing's like 22 years old or something like that. And it actually holds up pretty well. Usually when you see the old kits for CSM especially, they're so small. Especially the infantry. They're itty bitty. So Huron, somebody was asking about Huron earlier. If you don't already own the model, just prepare yourself for how small he is when you get it. Now, if you're a win-at-all-cost player, that's a great thing, because now you can hide them easier. But it doesn't look right. It stands out for being too small. Raptors, I don't think they changed at all, but I still wanted to bring them up just because they're a very common unit. I was going to say quintessential, but I'm not sure they're like essential. They're just very common for CSM for good reason. You got deep striking, fast moving infantry. They're definitely going to be a staple for the Night Lords, big time. -1, it's only 6-inch range, unfortunately, but you can stack it with the 12-inch range of your detachment, so -1 leadership. So it'd be -2 leadership with your when you're within 6 of somebody. And then at the start of the fight phase, which is okay timing, each enemy unit with engagement range must take a battle shock test, so that's cool. If you get them within range of, or get them in engagement range of multiple units, all of them will be taking tests. So Night Lords, you're just going to windmill slam as many of these guys down. Ooh, come to think of it, man, they should have made these guys battle line. Imagine how cool that would have been if they'd been battle line too, but either way, you're still going to see Raptors everywhere. Okay, now a unit you are 100% going to see everywhere, potentially like every competitive list, and you kind of already see them now. They were already fantastic, but now they're even better. Warp Talons. At the start of the fight phase, if this unit was eligible to fight in that phase, and now is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove this unit from the battlefield and place it in strategic reserves. This is super ultra balls out nutso good. It happens either fight phase, not just your own, not just your opponent's, so you'll be able to do it there. You wipe out a screen, and boom, I'm just going to pick these guys up. Guess what? You're not shooting back at them. You're not counter-charging. You're not whatever. And then next turn, I get to use them for scoring. Maybe I went second. Maybe I'm playing Night Lords, and I got that 3-inch deep strike. Sure, these guys can't shoot, so you would think, like, why would you ever do that? But no, a 10 mana, but that's 10 objective control you can potentially steal an objective from. Your opponent's gonna hopefully think, like, oh, they can't shoot, so, you know, he's not gonna do anything silly like that. Nope. Turn 5 into the game, I stole your objective, and I just won from that. So, there's a little bit of play there. They have crazy good output. The 4 attacks, strength 5, minus 2 AP, and then twin links, so rerolling all the wounds. These guys do outrageous amounts of damage. With the sustained hits, lethal hits, etc., etc., they'll especially be good in Pactbound Zealots. Like, yeah, I love them a lot. Chaos Spawn, so they got quite a few changes here. First of all, they dropped down to 0 objective control. That kind of sucks. They would have been fantastic at that. Little cheap, yeah, objective controllers. That said, they're still quick. They're still relatively tough. 8-inch move is decent. So you can bring them, maybe throw them in your corner for the investigate signals, that sort of stuff. And then they have an interesting ability that maybe you'll get FAQ'd. So while an enemy unit, excluding vehicles, is within 3 inches of this unit, subtract 1 from their objective control for models in that unit. So it doesn't say down to a minimum of 1, like most of those say. I know that most statistics can't go down to 0, but I'm pretty sure objective control is actually has like a little caveat that objective control can go down to 0. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, definitely bring that up, but I feel like that's in there. Oh, it looks like we got a question. So, Wired Oa asked, could Dark Apostle stack with the Felhammer enhancement, giving himself +2 to wound on an objective? So no, you can't stack +1 to hits or +1 to wounds more than +1, no matter what the reason is. Unless they're, yeah, I can't think of a single way you get +2 to wound. So no, unfortunately you couldn't. That's like in the core rulebook. Chaos Spawn, I think they're like, I don't think they're good at all. Maybe GW will do the right thing, so, you know, pray to the Dark Gods like we did the Disco Lord. Maybe he gets like a really good price cut. So you have to bring 2 of them. In that case, 50 points. 50 points, I might consider them. In that case, maybe they'd be okay. But anyways, I think they're a techie pick. If it's true that you can knock an enemy unit down to 0 objective control, then for sure, that might be a techie unit. They have to be within 3. They don't have to be visible. 3 is ultra close, so you're almost assuredly going to be visible. But I have seen, like, boards where the objective's, like, right next to a corner of a building or whatever, and if you plop that guy right in the middle, there's an okay chance you can knock anybody down to 0 OC. Robin is saying, the Warp Talon's ability seems unreasonably good. Encircle the Prey had to be immediately nerfed in 9th, and this is contextually better. It's really good, but it does have the sort of restriction of, you know, you can't be in engagement range anymore. So that's sort of one restriction. And then a lot of other armies have this ability, or similar abilities. I will say, so it's free. So that's a big deal, because a lot of them have to pay CP. But if you think about it, Hypercrypt Necrons in a sense have it, Grey Knights in a sense have it, my Demons basically have it with a Strategem. So while I agree with you, that's like incredibly powerful, it's one of the best abilities of all these datasheets we're looking at. I don't think it's necessarily broken. Just because it's actually fairly common in 10th edition. At least if what I'm thinking is correct. If I'm off or something, by all means bring it up for sure. If I'm wrong there. Next up, Hellbrute. Ooh, okay, so this guy's kind of fun. So he got a relatively minor change. So first of all, he still has his Dark Dissension aura. Basically, whenever you do one of your Dark Packs, you get the benefits of both. So you get both lethal and sustained. That is not so good. It's especially good with the Zealots, so the Index detachment. In the Index, he may very well be an auto-include, I think. With the other detachments, it's debatable because it is only on 6s, but that's still a fair amount of damage output that you're boosting up. So I do like they still have that. I was very afraid they change it. But I really like, though, Devoted to Destruction. If this model is equipped with 2 melee weapons, in addition to his close combat, add 2 to the attacks characteristics of those 2 weapons. So where this gets crazy is Vashtorr's Detachment. Vashtorr's Detachment, so you got +1 to wound at range, and melee get +2 to +2 attacks. You give this guy 2 weapons, so probably, most likely how I would do it, I'd want to bring a fist, so I have the heavy flamer. But, okay, we'll just do the crazy, yeah, so, okay, that's what I would do. I do a Hellbrute Fist and Power Scourge. Alternatively, I do a Hammer and Fist. I do the Fist with the heavy flamer. If you, but, okay, so we're going for the bonkers build. So if you do the Power Scourge and, yeah, Hammer, he'd get +4 attacks on each of them. So he'd get, now, none of them have extra attacks, so you'd have to choose between one and the other, but still, you get to choose, do I need to clear out a horde of stuff, or do I need to kill a vehicle, which is pretty awesome. Power Scourge would go up to 12 attacks, 12 2 damage attacks at that. Hellbrute Hammer would go up to 9 d6 +1 attacks. Or you do the Hellbrute Fist for, yeah, 9 3 damage attacks. Either of those are valid. Yeah, which loadout would you guys be tempted for? I say too, so I always used them for the buff, like that was his entire purpose in life, so shooting didn't really matter to me. I used to do las cannon, eventually I started doing multi-melta instead, but what I'm getting at is like, losing those isn't that big a deal, especially with what the rest of the army brings, so I think the new way to do it probably is the 2 melee weapons, and again, make one of them the fist, and probably do the heavy flamer. You can also do the Combi Bolter. No, definitely do the Heavy Flamer. Let's see. Eddie is saying... So, alright, in regards to the Warp Talons, Eddie Isaac says, the big issue with the Warp Talons is the fact that you can rapid ingress them the turn after you pick them up. So they're just reusable missile. That's a good point. That's what everybody's been bringing up, and I had meant to bring up. So yes, touche there. And then Robin says, I don't think anything else has this. Allarus has it once per game, and Necrons have it at the end of your opponent's turn with Destroyers. I agree with Isaac, rapid ingress sort of breaks it. You know what? Okay, so that's what I was missing. Yeah, they don't get it at the end of the fight phase. Man, it's funny. I should remember the demon one. Demons have a stratagem. Oh, Realm of Chaos. But that's end of your opponent's turn. Okay, so you're right, because this goes either turn. Yeah, I guess, I don't know if it's brokenly good. Into Chaffer screens, it's going to be really brutal. Like, you don't want to let these guys get into a 5-man scout squad or even a 10-man cultist. You don't want them to get there, because then they're just going to, like, yeah, they're going to nom. The rapid ingress is a big deal, because I was about to say, oh, well, you know, when they come in, they have to be 9 inches away, but you're right, the rapid ingress kind of fixes that. I guess the counterpoint, is that it costs a command point to rapid ingress them, and you're already be ultra starved for command points as it is, so that's like one ding. I'm not saying that makes up for all of it, but that is one thing to bear in mind. I don't think it's brokenly good yet, but that's A, it's my personal opinion. 2 of you seem to be saying that there are issues with it, so, you know, 1 versus 2, and C, time will tell. We will find out with time. I think, honestly, that's, like, the real answers. We won't know until we know, but me, personally, I do think it's incredibly strong, very powerful, but I don't think it's broken yet. Because if you go into anything beyond the screen, you go into, like, Terminators, Pizzazz, like, anything that, they're not really gonna, like, do that much. And into vehicles, yes, they get to reroll the wounds, but they're not going to do like that well into vehicles, so you won't always get it. It's mostly like screens that you get it from. But you guys brought up very good points. Thanks for clarifying that as well, because yeah, I didn't think about the fact that, yeah, it's on your turn or your opponent's, and you can rapid ingress, so touche. Felgor Beastmen, you know, I'm kind of sad. I don't know if they got buffed, or like, I'm confused with them. I don't know if they got buffed or not. They probably did get buffed. They used to have scouts. And I had actually just bought a kit. I just painted them a week or 2 ago because I had the scouts, and I was really hyped for the scouts. It's like a big deal, actually getting a unit. They gave it to Accursed Cultists instead, so that's a fair trade to me. I'd rather Accursed get the scouts, although I don't know if I'd rather Accursed have a reanimate either. What these guys get, though, if the unit starts in Strategic Reserves, you can treat every round as though it's 1 round further when they come in from reserves. So basically, you can come in from reserves on turn 1. Which is fantastic. Fantastic right there. And that actually is better than scouts if you think about it. Aside from you're stuck on the edges of the table, that's like the only issue there. But you can get a lot more, you can get a lot further up the table than 6 inches using the reserves ability. So, it's really debatable if they'll see play at all. In the Chaos Cults, I think they will. In any of the others, I don't think you'll see them too much. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Heldrake, he didn't change at all, but I just wanted to show him so we could all laugh at him. This guy freaking sucks. Unless he drops down to... Man, he'd have to be cheap. Yeah, he'd have to be like 140 points or something as well. He'd have to be really cheap to be worth it. This guy's garbage. He's overpriced is what it is. He's like 205 points or something for, you know... He can move 20 inches. Woo! That is nice, but woo! Otherwise, 5 2-damage attacks is like all he really brings for melee. Yeah, Heldrake is terrible. Poor Heldrake. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Yeah, pour one out for the Heldrake. He was one of my favorite. In 9th edition, I cannot count how many characters this guy ate up. All the time, people would, they deploy their characters wrong. Because in 9th, you just had to be the closest model for character. Otherwise, they had protection. And yeah, I would just fly. I'd stop, you know, 1 inch away from their character, right behind it. I would just flame the guy. And then if he lived, I'd charge it. Yeah, it was beautiful. +2 attacks in Soulforged. Oh, touche, Neil. So you can get him up to 7 attacks. Whoop, whoop. And you can give him +1 wound at range as well. So there's a little bit of value there. He also, if he attacks a flying unit, he gets +1 to his hit roll. He's just too expensive. That's the entire thing. If he wasn't over 200 points, which I'm like near positive, GW does not want you using flyers this edition. I'm afraid they get like legended in 11th edition or something. Like, I don't know what's going on with GW and flyers, but they do not want you using them. But yeah, Helldrig, such a beautiful model, such an iconic model. He was the terror of 7th edition. He was like the reason everybody hated flyers in 7th. This guy was nuts. Everybody in 7th, I kind of miss it. You had whipping facing, so you had to like face the right way. Not this guy. He had I forgot the name of it, but yeah, he could do 360 degree, and people thought that was broken. Different times, different times. Venom Crawler, I love this model. Most definitely going to be tossing him in a shitload list. He's actually, recently he's been seeing a lot more play in my list as well. I've been seeing him in some tournament lists, and then I've been running him as well myself, and he was doing really damn good. Only 110 points. I'm assuming he'll stay around that. He got a small change though. So it used to be, anytime you finished off a unit, whether ranged or melee, all of his weapons would get +1 attack. I should add, he has 2 Excruciator cannons, so he gets 12 ranged attacks and 6 melee attacks. So a little like anti-infantry like blender right here. Well, now it's at the end of the fight phase. If one or more attacks made by this model destroyed one or more enemy units, until the end of the battle, add one of the attack's characteristics of all of its weapons. So you still buff its melee and its ranged, but you can only gain it from being a melee. So that's a little sad, but it's not the worst like thing ever. Again, he's still a little blender. This guy is going to shine in Red Corsairs, and obviously in Vashtorr, he's going to shine heavily there, probably especially. But the +1 AP, that's like the big thing he needs, so I think any of those detachments get +1 AP, I think he's going to like it. Mauler Fiend got a minor nerf, unfortunately. Well, actually, I guess they got a nerf, so they got it's not minor, they got a regular nerf. They used to be able to reroll their advance and charges. Now they just ignore any or all characteristics to its move, advance, and charge rolls. So they can't be modified at all, but you don't get to reroll them for free anymore. Honestly, I would trade that right there for the rerolls, advance, and charges. That was pretty damn valuable to have and saved me the command point from rerolling those myself. So, yeah. Fired, oh, I like your style. The true master strategy is to bring 3 Mauler Fiends. I don't think I brought 3, but I did have a list that brought 2 of them. And genuinely, seriously, they did pretty well. They're amazing distraction carnifexes. They're T10 vehicles, so they're fairly resilient as it is. I'd run them with Possessed as well, so like these guys would rush up ahead, Possessed are out of line of sight, but coming up right behind them for turn 2 or turn 3 or whenever it is. I agree with you. Mauler Fiends actually, like, people underestimate them so much, but no, they're deadly. They're one of the few sources of AP4 that we have access to. Sure, it's 6-inch range, but still, you'd bring 2 of these. I never brought the Last Year Tendrils. No. I super disagree with that. We need AP4. That's ultra valuable. And you get 2 of them, so you get 4 Melta shots, and then you get the 6 super damage Mauler Fist. So this guy was like anti-super heavy stuff. Yeah, I love Mauler Fiend. I like your style, sir. Even with Night Lords, I bet he'd fit in pretty well. Just, paint him up all scary looking. Actually, you know what, dude? They would look sick with the Night Lord's paint job, honestly. Defiler. All right. Oh, God. All right, I'm going to cheer the screen. In fact, here, I'm going to take a swig real quick. Oh yeah, the Chaos Gods is singing. They sent down their angel from above, the Defiler. So this guy, he's had a troubled life, man. He was like bullied his entire childhood. People keep picking on him now, but nah, he's like that ugly duckling that just like came into a handsome goose, handsome evil goose. Damn geese. They're terrible. So Demon Forge. Once per fight phase, 1 unit from your army with this ability can be targeted with the counter-offensive stratagem for free, even if a different unit had been targeted with that stratagem this phase. Hot diggity dog, big do. Counter-offensive, in case you don't know, basically gives them fight first, essentially. Now, I believe it's right after another unit attacks, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I don't mess that up. But counter-offensive for free, that's normally a 2 command point stratagem. Oh my god, that is ultra strong. You toss that on with Vashtorr and his stratagem to move through walls. That gets rid of his like biggest issue. Scuddling Walker, basically he can ignore, he can move over like everything, even monsters and vehicles as though they were not there. And then terrain features that are 4-inch in height or less. On TTS it's pretty rare, but in real life there's a decent amount of stuff that's 4-inch or less. everything about this guy I'm in love with. Like, I've been wanting to run Defilers and not feel bad about it for, like, ages. I'm thinking, what would be the best loadout? Probably, you know what sucks? So I own 3 Defilers, and I love all of them, but they all have set loadouts. 2 of them have the Reaper, and 1 has the... Ooh, it's a twin heavy flamer? I'm starting to feel better. Either way, it's still D6 shots. I would much rather have the las cannon, or yeah, the las cannon, honestly. That'd be what I want. So I've been wondering how to, like, kit bash it, maybe cut them off and do something. Maybe 3D print something. Scourge would probably be valuable, though. That might be the way to go, yeah. Oh, and they can also bring a Havoc Launcher. Defiler Claws, though. 5 attacks, strength 16, minus 3 AP, D6 plus 1 damage. Don't forget you can tank shock with this guy. He's gonna be a blender, man. I do think he'll probably stay relegated to Vashtorr, because he really is a pain in the ass to move around. That said, with testing, maybe we'll see. Maybe 1 Defiler belongs in, like, every single list. The free counteroffensive is nuts. That's incredibly strong, guys. That's incredibly strong. People are not gonna want to charge this guy at all. Like, at all, unless they know they can kill him on the first clap. Yeah, Defiler, mwah, 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 mwah. I was hoping they go to T11, but, honestly, I'll take the Demon Forge over T11, so for now, it's okay. Accursed Cultists, so they gain Scouts 6-inch, that's actually a pretty big deal. Turn 1 essentially doubles their movement, so, pretty damn good there. Unfortunately, they don't regen, models anymore, so... Howling Horde. Each time an enemy unit has shot, if 1 or more models in this unit were destroyed as a result of this attack, you can make a Horde move. You roll a d6 and you get to move that many inches. When moving so, models can be moved into engagement range of that enemy. You can't do it with Battle Shock. So those are all good. These guys, they're all about melee, so getting more movement like is damn powerful. That said, it's debatable if the regen was better, because being able to regen a Torment, or I believe it was D3 mutants, or actually I think it was just a set 3 mutants, quite powerful there, because you were gaining movement, you know, all sorts of little shenanigans you get from that. But getting Scouts and the Howling Horde, that's like a fine runner-up prize, or consolation prize. Possessed, we mentioned it earlier. Yeah, so they still have the dev wounds. So when you do a Dark Pact, you can choose to do dev wounds, but it's once per battle. That sucks. That sucks a lot. I still think they're viable. I'm still going to run them myself. They will, an undivided version. Ooh, okay, so I do need to remember that. So that was in the index detachment, so I'm not going to have my exploding 5s as often as I was. But honestly, it wasn't that huge. It wasn't like mandatory to have the exploding 5s. Exploding 6s, I'll still get a decent amount. But anyways, you run them undivided always. Oh shit, you do have to do... You need to find reroll wounds, basically. And some of the detachments got that. The Pactbound Zealots definitely got reroll wounds. And I feel like the Renegade Raiders had reroll wounds. And so a few of them have reroll wounds. That's the key, though. Because with your reroll wounds, on average, if you bring a 10-man squad of them, you'll do about 20. That was with exploding 5s. With exploding 6s, it's probably like you'll do like 16 unsavable damage to literally any target in the game. That could be toughness 100, and you'd still do it. So I still think there's some value there. That said, all the other stuff's looking so good too. We'll see, we'll see. They're perfectly fine as MSU as well. 9-inch move, T6, 3 wounds. They're fantastic infantry. I'm not kidding when I say that. I love freaking Possessed, and generally I've had like nothing but good results with them. They always like pull their weight in all my lists. Obliterators. They got 2 nerfs, and both of them are actually kind of big. The first nerf is they can only be taken in units. They're in set units of 2 now. You used to be able to take them in units of 4, so that sucks. Because they're really not that resilient. T7, but 2 of them be 10 wounds they gotta chew through. Admittedly, they do have a 2-up save and a 5-up end ball, so that's like okay there, but still, set model sucks. The other bit is they reduce the range on his Melta profile, so it's an anti-vehicle. Only 18-inch range, D3 attacks, strength 12, minus 3, 4 damage. So where that sucks, it used to be you could deep strike and still be in Melta range. Now you will not be able to do that unless you got some sneaky way to get closer, so like Night Lords or... Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, it has to be a jump pack, so no, Night Lords wouldn't be able to do that. So both of those suck, man. Yeah, both of those are pretty big deals in multiple ways. Being reduced to 2, that means if and when you use stratagems on it, you're not getting your value out of it. They're less resilient now because you only have 2. You have 10 wounds instead of the 20 wounds to E3 you would have before. I've never been, like, I love their model. I worship the model so much. I think it's so awesome. But I've never been the biggest fan of doing Obliterators. Every now and then, they're definitely fun to bring in, but I've never been the biggest fan. Now, for sure, I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, that sucks. Let's see. Neil is saying... good point. So Neil was saying when you come out of the transport, so this is for Possessed. When you come out of the transport, you can get the reroll wounds. Good point, sir. Good save. And then he says, 3 units of my Renegade Raiders just running around, fucking stuff up for sure. Amen, dude. Yeah, Renegade Raiders, definitely going to be where it's at as one of the most competitive lists. And a lot of it's going to key off exactly that strategy you mentioned. Not only are you rerolling wounds, you're rerolling hits as well. Like, yeah, Shibata. Let's see, Khorne Lord of Skull, he didn't change at all, but I love his model, so I figured I'd show him here. Anyways, he too will be decent in Night Lords. In the fight phase, after he destroys an enemy unit, every enemy unit within 6 inch must take a battle shock, so that's okay. As okay as that is for, like, Night Lords, I was really hoping they changed that, because otherwise, you know, it's not the best thing ever. But either way, the guy's a beast. Very curious what his points end up being. I'm assuming they'll stay the same, but either way, I love running that model. Noctilith Crown, this is just stupid. GW nerfed it for no reason whatsoever. Like, nobody was bringing it anyways. Now they're definitely not bringing it. So, it used to be, you had, I believe it was 9 inch, but you get an aura. Models, wholly within, we get a 4-up invul. Now it's models within 9 inch get +1 to their leadership. Fucking dumb. So, yeah, I don't know what GW is saying. So, this goes from a fortification to a piece of scenery. Firedoa saying Khorne Lord of Skull can definitely benefit from Vashtorr's detachment. I gotta agree with you there. Yeah, no, yeah, he'll be one of the better ones in that detachment. I think. No, never mind. I was gonna say Felhammer, but no, actually, he wouldn't be that good in Felhammer. Or like, he wouldn't gain anything from Felhammer unless you have Strength 14 stuff coming in. But that's gonna be incredibly rare. That said, there is some of it out there. Necrons and maybe me with my Vindicators and stuff. So yeah, it's debatable there. And then, I believe this is the last one. Traitor Guardsmen Squad. So their big change was they can only bring 1 of each special weapon, because that's what comes in the kit, unfortunately. You guys remember when they first came out, or the data sheet first came out, you bring 3 of each weapon, and it was like, we were all in heaven. I'm sure people went out, spent money, kit bash, spent time, sweat, and tears to convert them, so they had 3. Then GW changed it to you only have 2. Now they're being assholes, and you only have 1. So that sucks. At least they didn't fuck over Raptors. I think, like, there's actually a few units that are like that. Terminators, I feel like, only come with, like, 1 combi bow. Oh, wait, no, yeah, what am I saying? Terminators are fucked in that regard. But Raptors, are the big one that comes to mind. Only 1 melter comes in the kit, but you can still bring 2 per 5, which is a big deal. Don't be surprised if GW, screws us over that eventually. Otherwise, they're identical. So some guy, the Warhammer, man, I hope I don't get it wrong. I want to say it's Mike Pestilence, but it might have been one of the other writers there. One of the Warhammer guys very recently won, I believe it's a GT, but he won a bigger tournament. And he run a boatload of Traitor Guardsmen, and it was really clever. It was one of the, like, more unique builds I've seen for CSM in this edition. And, yeah, he basically built his list around the fact they have 2 objective control, and I do think that's a key feature of these guys. I'm sure I'm not alone in it. I was inspired from that article to try running Traitor Guardsmen myself, and I was pleasantly surprised. They weren't, like, fantastic in my hands. I'm not like a pro like that guy is. But I was pleasantly surprised. Definitely stealing objectives from people. Hey, you get your Land Raider or your Rhino, whatever you choose to, get up near the objective, unload these guys, and chances are it's going to become yours. So I still think they got play. As a whole, CSM don't have that many high objective control units. Like, their vehicles and stuff have it. Ooh, I didn't even notice that. Defiler has 5 objective control. That's actually really good, because a lot of them only have, like, 3 or 4. Otherwise, a lot of units, mainly infantry, like almost all of our infantry only has 1 objective control. Aside from Legionaries, of course. But I do think Traitor Guardsmen, I think they got quite a bit of value there. And the Chaos Cult Detachment, of course, they're obviously gaining a shitload of value there as well. Let's see. So, ooh, okay, we got some people popping in. So, Valentin says, Valentin says, Rubric Marines and Rhinos and Renegades Assault get +2 aimers. You heard it here first. Yeah, dude, that is nuts. So, especially rerolling all the hits and wounds. And then don't forget, they get crit wounds as well. So, +1 AP on that, if I'm not mistaken. and you don't have to put them in the same mark as the Rhino anymore. So good point, Eddie. Yeah, if you run them in the Dark Pact Zealots, then yeah, Rubik's get much more value there. And then Firdo is saying, kind of want to pick up the Kriegsman squad and kit bash them into Traitor Guard. Ooh, that would actually be, yeah, that would be a sick choice right there. Kriegsmarine, let's take a look. You know, we got nothing better to do. Let's take a look here. I want to see if anybody else has kit bashed them. No, not yet. I'm positive they're out there, but I'm surprised we're not seeing more of them. But yeah, obviously, Kriegsman, isn't it Kriegsman? Yeah, Death Cores. Those guys would make perfect conversions. Man, I was hoping, I hope one day, we'll probably get Dark Mechanicum first, which works for me. But one day, I hope and pray we get a Traitor Guard, like, Codex or Index. That would be fantastic. Or let us, give us, like, the Brood Brother rules. So, yeah, that's what I was really hoping. We get a Traitor Guardsmen detachment, and one of their special rules would be like, yeah, you can bring one Leman Russ, you can bring one Basilisk, you can bring, you know, something along those lines where you Brood Brothers. And actually better would be, you can have up to 500 points of, yeah, Astra Militarum. I'm almost surprised we haven't gotten that yet. Maybe the GW is saving it for when they, like, run out of ideas or something like that. You're saying scrape the, Neil's saying he has done that. You scrape off the seals, and then they're super easy conversions. Yeah, I bet they're ultra easy conversions. Converting and kit bashes are one of my favorite things to do in 40k. What I normally do, I'm like a weirdo. When I get in an army, I want to own every single kit. I'm like weird like that. But once I own one of every kit, I don't want them looking the same if I can help it. So I'm pretty big on kit bashing, even if it's just small details, swapping heads around and that sort of stuff. So I agree, that would be, yeah, that'd be pretty sick build there. All right, let's see. Let me check my notes. I'm sure I had an outro here. Let's hang on. By the way, so yeah, we're almost done with it. Thank you guys, by the way, for sticking around. You guys are always so awesome. A bunch of you, Fired Oa especially, Neil, I feel like, a bunch of you guys I remember from the past. Francis, I remember seeing you as well, if you're still in here. Like, hot diggity dog, guys. Thank you guys for coming around again. Yeah, dude, this channel is so fun. What's funny, I watched some of the live streams, and that's what inspired me, because originally I was going to do just a regular, like, pre-recorded CSM Codex review. And then I started thinking about it, and I had watched one of the live streams before that, and I was like, dude, it was so much fun getting to, like, shoot the shit with each other. But anyways, yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, like, go on ahead and get them out now, because we are almost over. You the man, Fat Archon. Hey, how would I pronounce your name? I apologize for asking that, but what should I call you aside from, I'm assuming Korean. I don't want to say kanji. I don't know. I'm a dumb, ignorant American, so I apologize. Tan Chow. Okay, I'll try to remember that. And I'll probably just call you Chow, by the way. But thank you very much, man. Kane, yeah, dude. Francis, yeah, dude. It was so great seeing you. Firedo, especially appreciate seeing you as well. So the book as a whole, guys. Like, do I even have to say it? GW knocked it out of the park and then some. This is like a home run times 3. This like went over the fence, hit some old lady in the head, and she died. Is like how good it is. Every single detachment, like I mentioned earlier, every detachment, even the ones that aren't like quote unquote like ultra competitive, at the very least they're fun and fluffy. Legitimately, at the end of all this, like, I'll probably wait until I get the physical codex, but I want to get it so I can read through the fluff. Like, I'm excited to read through the fluff and see if any of that's changed. Before I even record this video, somebody's asking if any of the heresy lores changed. We'll see. That'd be cool if they, I doubt anything's changed, but I'm sure they'll, like, shed some light on some of it. I'd be curious to see some of the Black Crusade lore that comes out. I love Chaos, especially love Chaos Space Marines, so I'm so hyped for all this. I can't even think of anything that's bad with this book. What's bad? So we heard some of the concerns for Warp Talons, but aside from that, like, I'm not sure there's any issues with this book, guys. Hopefully, so I don't think they're brokenly strong, so I think that's a worthy discussion. I guarantee people are going to be saying it's broken. Just like they're saying for Orks and all other sorts of stuff. I don't think it's broken. I think GW was relatively smart in that they corralled in some of our data sheets. Like I mentioned, I think we got more nerfs than buffs when it comes to data sheets. Or it's like 50-50. It's close that way. We are more of an elite army. We do have cultists to short up, but we're more of elite, so we don't have that many bodies on the board, and the bodies we have are pretty fragile. People are used to killing Space Marines, so I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, even though I think we're probably the top army in the game now, I wouldn't be surprised if we aren't. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Necrons, you know, maintain their title, Grey Knights maintain their title, etc., etc. Time will tell. But yeah, I don't think they're OP. I just think they're incredibly strong. I can definitely see the jealousy coming from certain other armies. Also, this is a great sign of future codexes. Like, okay, I don't want GW to go back to the power creep. I really, really, really don't want power creep to be a thing, even though, like, I'm gloating over how good this book is. I hope they maintain their balance, because it's always been annoying when by the end of every edition ever, by the end of the edition, it's just like it gets stupid. And then what they did in 9th, man, they'd make something too killy. So, everything's getting +1 to wound now. Well, now we gotta fix it with everything gets -1 to wound. Well, now that's too powerful. So now we gotta fix it so everything gets this, and like, it was back and forth. So they've done okay this edition, balancing stuff out. Alright, let me take a look here. Aw, thank you, Firedo. That means a lot to me, man. Neil, I agree with you completely. You're gonna try all the detachments? Me too, man. Every single one of them. There's not a single one I'm not, like, hankering to try. I need to write up some lists, and in fact, so obviously I need to get some reps in. I need to get some practice in before I start acting like I know, like, what's actually great or not. But definitely expect some videos in the next, like, couple weeks going over what's, like, probably competitive. And you know what? I'll try to throw in some fluffy lists, because it'd be fun to see, like, here's a really fun Chaos Cult list, you know? So do expect more content on these guys in the near future once I get some reps in and all that sort of stuff. Firedoa said, love it. Really wish I could have gotten the deluxe book, but that's sold out in second. Dude, literally everything sold out in seconds for it. Luckily, so I'm lucky. I already own, like, everything I'd need model-wise. Pretty much. You know, there's a few things I could get more multiples of, but otherwise I own every single unit. So I lucked out there. I feel bad for people who are interested in getting into CSM. Like, that sucks, man. GW, make more boxes. They literally sold out in a minute. Not just the books. I'm sure the books did. But all the special box sets, they're all sold out. All of them. Let's take a look at eBay. I bet hopefully they're not too ridiculous, but I bet you a bunch of them are little redonks. What's the name of I'm trying to remember the name of the box sets. Hey, come here. Let me check. Let's see what Google. Warhammer Community. No, I know what I'll do. Warhammer.com. Veterans of the... Okay, thank you. Good save. Veterans of the Long War. We'll do Dreadhost first. See what they're at. Okay, Combat Patrol. You know, it's actually a pretty okay Combat Patrol. You know what? That's funny. Okay, $270 plus from Poland. Fuck that. That means they're gonna 3D print that or something. Don't buy from Poland. It looks like they might all be sold out, even on eBay. Let's see, what did he say? Well, I guess you have to pre-order it. But the first one we saw from Poland, nonetheless, $270, and then what would be Veterans of the Long War? This would come from the UK, which isn't that bad, and being bid on, already up to $240, $270 looks to be about the average. And what were they gonna charge before? Yeah, whatever. I don't know what the MSRP is, but yeah, from what I heard, they sold out in literally like a minute. All that sold out, and it sucks, man, because people are, yeah, man, I want more people to get into CSM. They really are. They're such a fun army. If anybody watching this is like newer to CSM, like, man, get on, so there used to be a site called 1D4chan, which is terrible for tactical advice, but it's kind of hilarious for, like, lore, and it's a really simple way to learn the lore without having to read, like, pages and pages of other wikis. But 1D6chan is around. So 1d6 Chan, definitely check it out sometime if you want to learn the lore. Literally, you just type any like character's name you're interested in. So Abaddon, look up Abaddon and learn his whole history. You get yeah, and it's not like sanitized or whatever. So it's like me. I'm not normally that sort of guy or whatever, but it's it makes you chuckle every now and then. You got a lot of meme stuff in there. So their lore is fantastic, and their models obviously are fantastic. Oops. I'm gonna go back and dude, they have some of the better models in the like Vashtorr sick. Ooh, 100. Man, I bought him for $60 from eBay like a year ago. I bet he's going up in price because everybody wants him now. $35 for a Firebrand. It's sort of a ripoff because you used to get the Blackstone Fortress came with him and 7 cultists for I think it was the same price. Maybe it was like 50, but either way, it's sort of a ripoff. Are these sold out? Ooh, the Blooded aren't sold out yet. I need to get my hands on some of those too. Ooh, perfect example though. Like, come on, guys. Come on. Yeah, some of the better models in the game. Yeah, and if you don't like evil factions, you just make up some headcanon that, oh, no, they're not actually evil. You know, the eBay prices? Yeah, it's a ripoff. So $230. On eBay, they were going for $270. I bet you some people are going to, like, super scalp and ask for $300, but that's pretty rough there. Let's see. Fired Oasane is selling for 190, I think that's euros, on eBay. And it's meant to be 140. Yeah, okay, now that's a big diff, because euro to USD, I think it's, either way, the conversion. So, okay, yeah, that's a big deal. Man, I hate scalpers so much. GW kind of tries to fight it by having a time system, but that burns, like, normal people, too, so it's all rough. Okay, I got a question for you guys. Are you guys going to buy the Codex, or are you just going to use, like, Wahapedia and that sort of stuff? I really want the Codex, but, like, I barely use them when I have it, so I don't know. I'm on the fence with buying it. I probably will, because I'm, like, a super fan of CSM especially, but Chaos in general, and I do like the fluff and lore and that sort of stuff, so I'll probably buy it. Neil's saying buying it, so, yeah, I'll probably get it. 10th edition, I feel like it's going to stick around for a decent while longer. I'm not afraid it's going to go away like next year. Hopefully they're not stupid and go to 11th that quick, but I guess we'll see. Okay, yeah, it looks like everybody's going to get it. Eddie's saying I might try to buy code from someone. Oh, that's smart. Yeah, buy the code for the app. I'll be straight up with you guys. Most stuff, I just use Wahapedia. Granted, we're still in the index, like, era, so, like, it's no issue at all. And what sucks with relying on Wahapedia, it is extremely accurate. I'm not worried in the least bit about accuracy, but it takes a while for them all to get updated. So that's the lame part about that. Yeah, truthfully, I probably will get the, there's like an 80% chance that I'll get the Codex. Alright guys, I need to eat, probably take a shower. It's like, it's really hot where I'm at. It's like 90 degrees or whatever, whereas a week ago it was like 60 degrees, so I'm burning up in here. Sweating like a hog. Fat Archon sweating like a hog. Let's see here. So Tan's saying, running cards helps the game roll fast, in my opinion. Stat lines on the table, and if the opponent has any doubt, you can just pass the card and keep rolling. So that, well, it's funny, because I didn't think about the datasheet cards, but when I pulled up this page, I noticed it, and immediately I was like, oh, yeah, I need those. Yeah, I agree with you there. Admittedly, so you could use Wahapedia or similar. You could just hand them your phone, but I don't want strangers touching my phone, to be honest. And the data cards, they're easier to read. They're permanent. They look cool. Blah blah blah. I agree with you there. It's just my only qualm is $95 for the two of them. The biggest ripoff is the dice, though. The dice, I like. Maybe when I'm rich one day I'll get the dice, but for sure these two definitely worth it. Dice, yeah, I'll probably skip those. Kind of annoying to buy peripherals every edition, but cheaper to just buy the deck and oh, okay. So that's smart. That's actually the way to do it. If you don't necessarily care about the lore and stuff, yeah, just buy the data sheets and then yeah, like you said, you can print out the other bits. Yeah, however that works. Might just print out the cards from Wahapedia and laminate them. Very smart. Yeah, the whole reason I'm even... Normally I would, like, probably lie and be like, oh, I'm gonna buy that Codex no matter what. But, so I've been painting like a madman. Like no joke, I've painted, like, I don't even know how many models in the last, like, 2 weeks for my CSM. Basically getting rid of my pile and shame. But I found all my old Codexes. And yeah, I was remembering, like, yeah, I barely use these. And even when I went to tournaments, like... everybody always says they're required, but nobody ever asks once to like read them or whatever. With a new book, obviously that's a little different, but yeah. And then if I look in my closet, I have codexes from 8th edition. I have some books from 7th edition. I'm sure I still have a book from like 5th edition somewhere in there. So yeah, the only thing I like is reading the lore later on, like the 5th edition codexes especially. But I'll be real, the 10th edition and even 9th edition, they're relatively light. They're lighter on the lore, so not the best thing there. Painting showcase win. It's funny you say that, Francis. I was even considering taking some pictures of the few I painted and like showing it to you guys, because I remember, it was probably you, somebody's asking about it the last live stream I was doing, if I'd ever show mine. My house is a little cleaner than it had been. But I would be embarrassed. So maybe, I'll try to do it at some point. Like genuinely, pinky swear. I'll try to get some photos of a few of my models, because I am proud of a few of them. I'm not a great painter by any means, but I've been doing it for like, I don't know, 2 decades or so. I've been doing it a long time, so like, I've got some practice. Dude, I got my style down. I'm a speed painter, and I hate contrast paints. Fuck contrast, like, everybody has their own style. For me, I don't like contrast paints, but they're perfectly fine. But anyways, I got my style down. Dude, I could paint a good-looking Forge Fiend in, like, less than an hour. Definitely less than an hour. I was gonna say, like, half an hour, but, it's pushing it. Less than an hour. I can get you a really good-looking Forge Fiend. Like, no joke at all. My Venom Crawlers, I'll try to show you guys at some point. But yeah, that would be fun to show off a few models. Everybody loves showing off their fun stuff, and obviously I love my little bubbies. So, it's like showing off your newborn infant or whatever. Like, look at my new Demon Prince. Look at my Vashtorr. The skin looked shit at first, but then I washed it again and it ended up looking, like, actually good, Ooh, Firedo is saying, still scared of painting. Part of the hobby that I'm nervous about. Love building games. Yep, dude, that's exactly how I am. Like, painting's alright. I'll put on, like, a lore video or something, and then it's pretty awesome there. So just sit back for a couple hours and paint or whatever. I do enjoy that as, like, a relaxation, but nah, my favorite part is building the models, honestly. I'm, like, a nerd for building the stuff, and then obviously playing. I've always been I'm fairly competitive, and I've always been really, like I grew up on RTSs, real-time strategy. That's what I grew up on. I'm all about it. Total Annihilation was, like, my jam growing up. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So I've always, been drawn to that sort of stuff, and 40k is perfect. I got into 40k, like, I thought they were toys. I got into 40k when I was, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or something. I remember I went to a hobby store, and they had a Ork buggy or the bike or whatever, and I thought it was a toy, so I bought it. And then after that, man, I stayed in a Warhammer. When I was, like, 15, I worked on a farm, so I could buy a Tau army. Back when stuff was actually affordable with 40k, so I bought a whole Tau army with my farm income. Yeah, man. So I've been, I love 40k. Alright. For real, I need to take a shower. I'm sweating my ass off. Hey, don't forget, guys, it's Mother's Day. Well, no, excuse me. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. So make sure you call your moms, give them a hug, tell them Fat Archon said you couldn't shut up about how much you love your mom, all that sort of stuff. But be sure you reach out to your mamas. I'm going to reach out to mine as well. Give the video a thumbs up if you didn't already. Like, I'd appreciate it if you could. I'd be curious if you guys come up with if you guys ever have any questions or need help with anything, you can always leave a comment in the videos, or you can always email me, thefatarchon@gmail.com. You're welcome to reach out to me. I will always help. I don't care if you're a patron or any of that sort of stuff. I'll always help you out, without any questions asked. I love you guys legitimately. Like, you guys are always so polite. I love talking with you. I'll try to do some more live streams. Sorry I disappeared for so long. Stuff came up in life, but stuff's a lot better. And dude, stuff's like fantastic. 2024 is amazing, so hoping to keep it that way. Anyways, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming around. Good luck out there. And guys, figure out the detachment you're gonna play. Go whoop some ass. Fuck yeah for Chaos Space Marines. I am hyped. Anyways, good night, guys, and keep it real.